afternoon and welcome to a sunny but rather windy Hyde Park and the Dextro Energy London Triathlon, a sport which is the ultimate test in stamina, strength and skill. This race is a biggie. The world's top triathletes have made sure they're here because this weekend is a test event for London 2012, the stage, the proposed course for the event at next year's Olympic Games, and a stunning setting it is too. We've got a great crowd going on here an hour before the main men's race starts. Hello there crowd, a wave, you're live on BBC Two. Now Britain's top female triathlete is Helen Jenkins. In 2008, she was world champion. For the past 2 years here in Hyde Park, she's come third. But if you're in any doubt about just how tough a triathlete has to be, have a look at this. A heavy crash. This is Helen suffering a heavy crash in the bike stage in Sydney in April, but she got up. She got up to finish the race, bloodied hands, bent handlebars and all, and since then her season has really flourished.
Everything's been going really well, all my training's been going well. I'm really happy with my last two races, and it's given me a bit of confidence heading into this weekend. I've always liked the course in Madrid. I mean, I've had some bad races there, but most of my races have been really good. I didn't have a great swim, but did really worked hard on the bike, and then the run, had one of the best runs I'd ever had. I think I ran almost a minute faster than I'd ever run on that course before, so that was really positive. Kids was a lovely place. It's always a bit colder than some of the other ones, so I'd kind of gone prepared for that. Myself and Sarah Haskins got away on the bike, and I was hoping that we could stay away for the whole ride. Unfortunately, got caught, so I wasn't sure how I was going to feel heading onto the run after having all that work in my legs. When we first started running, I felt terrible. My hamstrings were really tight. I think it was the cold as well, and I was like, oh God, this is going to be awful. Yeah, when we stayed with the front girls, and then it just kept getting less and less, and ended up just being myself and Paula Findlay again, like it was in Madrid. But she still had the edge over me at the end. It's hard coming second by a small margin, and it is a small margin, like 4 seconds over a 2-hour race isn't very much, but I think in both races I gave everything I could, and so I know there's nothing else I could have done. I just hope I'll have a bit more. This is a massive event, the Olympic test events. The setting's amazing, and I think doing the full Olympic course this year, going to Buckingham Palace, it'll be really interesting to see how it is different. I mean, the atmosphere has been great down here for the past 2 years. I mean, the course isn't massively challenging. It's a pretty flat course. There's no big hills. I'd love it if there were some big hills. If they wanted to build some, that would be great. But it's not just about the course, is it? It's about dealing with the pressure, the environment. I mean, I could qualify for the Olympics this weekend, so I don't have to. There's another chance in Beijing, there's more chances next year, but I want to do it this weekend. I want to get on the podium and make the Olympic team.
Well, qualifying for the Olympics is going to be on the minds of so many athletes here this weekend, but it's a grueling sport and anything can happen. And one man who knows exactly what it's like taking part in a triathlon at the highest level is Richard Stannard. Good to have you here, Richard.
Thank you very much, Sonali.
Let's talk Helen Jenkins. In Beijing, she didn't do too well, came 21st, but 3 years on, at the age of 27, it really feels like she's coming into her own and perhaps reaching her peak at the right time.
Absolutely. She's totally matured as an athlete. She suffered some injuries early on in her career. She's now worked on those, and she's in the gym all the time, and she's making herself absolutely solid. We're seeing it in results. World champion 2008, third place the following year, and then hopefully today another great result. But she's already been on the podium this year, and that's the most crucial thing. It's required as part of Olympic qualification.
Who's her main competition in the whole series?
Well, you've got the three Emmas from Australia who have already done a trifecta, if you like, in one of their previous World Championship Series races. They all three of them on the podium. They will, they will look to try and dominate. They're not going to necessarily work as a team because they all want to beat each other, but that only makes the other one go harder. And so definitely Australians, but there are other nations here who've got qualification in this race to try and get to London 2012. And I think we're going to see Americans, Canadians, all of them having a go.
You and I were here yesterday too. The crowd is screaming for all the athletes that are already running. The atmosphere here is so great, and only 1 year to go, of course, till the Olympic Games.
Absolutely. The event here is it's a showcase. It really does show London off. The bike course going down to Buckingham Palace, of course, and so it's a spectacle. And everyone wants to come down here and soak up that atmosphere and get as close to the athletes as they can.
Because, of course, the triathlon is one of the few Olympic events that you don't need a ticket for. Put Saturday the 4th and Tuesday the 7th of August in your 2012 diaries, and then come on down here to Hyde Park and watch the races for free. And if you don't know your Wellington Arch from your Constitution Hill, don't worry, Graham Bell's got your back. He's been out and about scouting out the best vantage points for the Olympic triathlon.
It all starts here at the Serpentine, the snake-like curving lake in the heart of London's Hyde Park. But it might get a bit busy here at the start, so if you fancy something a bit more tranquil, you can come over here to the south side of the lake to take some tea, or if you're feeling brave, have a dip in the Lido. The water's bound to be a bit warmer than on Christmas Day, when the local swimming club competes in the Peter Pan Cup, so named because the author J.M. Barrie presented the first prize here in 1904. Once they're out of the water, it's time to get out on their bikes. It's a flat course, but with all the speed bumps and tight turns, it's technically demanding. The competitors will skirt the northern edge of the lake and then cross the Serpentine Bridge, heading towards the south of Hyde Park. Tucked in on the right is the Serpentine Gallery, which will be opening a new space in time for the London Games. From the south side of the park, you have a tantalising choice. You can either feast your eyes on the opulence of the Albert Memorial, or keep your eyes peeled for the athletes as they swing left and head down South Carriage Drive all the way to Hyde Park Corner. There they pass the imposing Wellington Arch, and then it's just a short sprint down Constitution Hill to the grandest of them all, Buckingham Palace. After all that, they turn around and race back towards the park, 7 bike laps in all. Once they're off their bikes, the triathletes will strike out on the run, knowing they're only 4 laps and 10 kilometres from the end of the race. And a great place to see them is here at Rotten Row. It's where they'll do a big U-turn and head back towards the lake. This place might be called Rotten, however, it's anything but. 150 years ago, this is where Londoners came to promenade. It was the place to be seen. As the runners head back along the Serpentine, you can always rest and relax at the Diana Memorial Fountain. Designed by American landscape artist Catherine Gustafson and opened in 2004 at a cost of $3.6 million. If you're not one of the lucky people in the grandstand, you could stand here, right on the finishing straight, and cheer the athletes as they sprint towards the line. It's an ideal position, and most importantly, it's free.
Spectators really will have fantastic access, Richard, to all the athletes and watching them perform next year at the Olympic Games.
Absolutely, and the course is so close to the athletes. Just behind me, we can see Simon Whitfield, Olympic Games and 2000 Sydney Olympic champion, just preparing.
Hey, Simon.
For the race. It's getting ready there. All the athletes, you're literally on top of the race. I think it's pretty unique in that aspect.
For the athletes themselves, it's the first and the last time they can test themselves out properly on the Olympic course. What will they try and learn from this weekend?
It's going to give them some visualisation. They're going to be able to imagine the race for next year, which is so important. Every day, the next 365 days as they prepare for the Olympic race, they can visualise what went on today and use that to inspire them and then hopefully motivate them to train that bit harder.
Who will this course suit?
Pretty much anyone, because it's not a hard course. Unfortunately, the topography and geography of London is such that we've got a technical course in terms of bends, but we haven't got any hills. We haven't got anything that's really going to hurt the athletes necessarily on the bike. But everyone can manage this flat course. It's going to be a run race, I think.
So what kind of tactics will athletes be thinking about as they're going around the course?
A lot of those who can run are going to try and conserve their energy and wait for that 10k run, as long as they've had a good swim. And the swim is a lottery because
a lot of the time it's really won on that run, isn't it?
Absolutely. The race is won on the run, but you can set yourself up with a good swim and bike. And that's what those runners will be trying to do. On the other hand, those who've got the strength at the front end of the race, the swim and the bike, will look through the bends, through the turns, Marble Arch, down to Buckingham Palace, up Constitution Hill. They're going to attack and have a go. And as we know, Stuart Hayes from Great Britain, he's the man to look for that.
So many teams will be thinking about Olympic qualification, and Team GB has talked about maybe using domestiques at the Olympic Games. I guess the triathlon equivalent of Formula One team orders, where someone isn't out to get a medal themselves but is slowing down the pack so someone else can go in. Do you really think that Team GB will use domestiques next year?
There is a clause in the policy to allow that to happen, but a lot of things have to take place first, i.e. other athletes not proving their form, so that it allows the selectors to go down that route. It is an option and it shouldn't be ruled out. We've seen other nations use it at the previous Olympic Games and Olympic Games in Athens as well. So it is a possibility, but I don't think, we've got the brothers Brownlee, who are almost working with each other anyway.
Acting as domestics for each other.
Exactly, they don't even have to speak and they know what each other are doing. So with that in place, I think the team will gel well, certainly for the men. The women is a different side of it. We've certainly got Helen Jenkins, dominant, only podium finish this year. So perhaps they may look towards that angle. But we've still got a long way to go in the selection process.
And wouldn't it be hard to find someone who would be willing to sacrifice trying to get a medal?
Yes, I think it's simply yes. But at the same time, if a lot of things happen with regards to selection, i.e. people not making the podium in this race and in Beijing, the final, in a few weeks' time, then it opens some doors to athletes who might think, well, I'd like to race in London 2012, but I'm sure there'll be a sit-down conversation if they were to go down that route, and deals would have to be made.
We're talking a lot about Olympic qualification, but of course this race is also part of the ITU World Championship Series, which is a 7-race battle. The final, as Richard mentioned, in Beijing, in next month, that is. Now, your best 4 results count towards the World Championship, and a lot of athletes haven't really shown their hand yet. At the moment, Chile's Barbara Riveros Diaz leads the way after a solid rather than spectacular season. Canada's Paula Finlay came to prominence here in Hyde Park last year. She has 3 wins this year, but is suffering with a hip injury. And Helen Jenkins with 2 second places. She's currently in 6th. Your commentators for the women's race are Matt Chilton and Steve True.
They're ready for the start here. Paula Finlay, the big favourite for this race, the winner of the 3 World Championship Series races already this season. They didn't race in Yokohama in Japan. That was postponed following the earthquake and tsunami. They're waiting for the call. That's the scene here in Hyde Park, and they're away. 67 elite women triathletes diving into the Serpentine without wetsuits to begin this Olympic test event. The real thing in a year from now, August the 4th and August the 7th, 2012. Will be the Olympic medal days here in Hyde Park. For the first time this year, they're heading out of the park and into the streets and onto the streets of London, taking in some of the sights of this part of the world. And already they're beginning to spread. It's just a single lap swim this year, 1,500 metres. Last year they got out of the water, ran along the pontoon and dived in again. This time they're staying in the water for the entire 1.5 kilometres of a swim. And already 2 distinct groups beginning to form.
Well, interesting there, Matt. Emma Moffat on near side has really gone for it. I think what is critical on this, it's a no wetsuit swim, we've talked about that already, but the bike, it is going to be very difficult to get away, and if these swimmers can get away early on and then create that gap before they get on the bike, it's going to be a huge advantage. And of course, every single one of these athletes is going to be looking for Olympic selection for their countries for next year. And they're going to put themselves on the line today. As we said, Emma Moffat has really gone for it. I know also Nicola Spirit from Switzerland, who's had a leg injury, has really been focusing on her swimming. Laura Bennett, we're seeing at the moment. Laura Bennett, she's been around forever. She's got a whole case full of World Championship medals back at home. And she's in the best form of her life. Isn't that fantastic?
Spectacular scenes. It's an early start for the women because of the problem with the road closures in London. The men will start in the afternoon for their race on the Sunday. Water temperature pretty cool. There's a a Lido here at the Serpentine, open to recreational swimmers. In fact, no swimming was allowed during most of last week because of a problem with the oxygen levels in the lake. It didn't affect the swimmers, of course, but it was worrying for the fish stock, so they had to treat the water. Apparently the oxygen levels are restored to a normal level now, so swimming has been allowed to resume for the recreational swimmers, and it hasn't affected the start of the triathlon. They have 1.31 kilometres left to swim in the opening section. Just to remind you, 1,500 metres in the water, a 40-kilometre bike that involves 7 laps around the park and out on the streets of London. As we look back at the start, there was a hint that Paula Findlay, I thought, might have gone early there, Steve. See that again. Well, it was touch and go. If she did go early, all the others followed her. There's Riveros Diaz, the World Championship standings leader, the Chilean, making a decent start. And just to finish off the housekeeping, it's a 1.5 kilometre swim, 40 k's on the bike, and a 10k run, 4 laps around the park. Now they're changing direction. A different layout of the swim course this year because of the 1 lap stipulation, which is what they want to use in the Olympics. You can see the Serpentine Bridge, crowds gathered above the bridge there, and a lot of argy-bargy, those that choose to go tight around the inflatable buoys, in danger of getting elbowed. There are quite often bloody noses at the end of these turns as people scramble for position in the water of the Serpentine. Serpentine was the centrepiece of celebrations here in London in 1814 for the British victory at the Battle of Trafalgar, and there are a few battles going on out there as they come round that buoy.
First sight of Helen Jenkins there. As we said, Helen's had a little bit of respiratory problem. You know, maybe that's likely to affect her confidence more than anything physical at all. But she's up there. She's being very, very competitive. She's looking for it. And of course, Helen, a previous world champion when nobody expected it, loves the tough conditions. Conditions here this morning absolutely pleasant. Very little wind out. Just under 22 degrees in the water, and I think Helen needs to be up there. Just as we panic through the field, we can see she just needs to close that gap a little bit more on Sarah Haskins and Laura Bennett, Matt.
So Annie, they're just around the final buoy. Now with no wetsuits, this transition should be lightning fast.
It's going to be very, very fast. They haven't got to think about anything else other than getting on their bikes right now.
And it's quite a big group. You're looking at about 30 people, and then there's a little bit of a break. If you don't get out into this first group, you're not going to make it back, are you?
It's going to be very difficult to get back on, and I'm really surprised that there is such a big group coming out of the water together right now.
And now the final sprint in this swim comes. First out of the water equals first to the bike, and first on the 40-kilometre bike circuit, which will exit the park for the first time. There's been chaos on the roads as they've closed off the roads. A lot of the locals unhappy, but they're going to have to get used to it many times in the next 12 months or so as road closures take place. Incidentally, the open water swimming at the London 2012 Olympics will also take place in the Serpentine, so it won't just be the 2 days of triathlon. The 10k open water swimming marathon also taking place in this artificial lake in the centre of Hyde Park. Approaching 19 minutes and approaching the steps, the blue carpet and the run to transition to pick up the bikes. And it will, there'll be a group of 7 or 8 bunched together as they come to the steps to take them out of the Serpentine. Here they go, 19 minutes and 13. It's Haskins who comes out first. Groff is second right behind her.
Kerry Lang there for Great Britain in third. What a good swim for Kerry.
Then Jess Harrison, she's fourth. Laura Bennett swam well fifth. The Olympic champion Snowsall follows, followed by the Olympic bronze medalist and Abisova, Vicky Holland, Jodie Stimpson, lots of British interest here. Mariko Adachi, Helen Jenkins is right up there as well, coming out in 14th position. Hewitt, Luxford, Lisa Norden is 19th out of the water. Loads of them. There'll be a massive group, a peloton forming at the front of the bike. Now they come into transition. Helmets on. Bikes are pushed to the mount up white line. There it is. Now they can get on their bikes. They exit the blue carpet out onto the gravel. There'll be a group of 30 potential riders in the first group. Non-Stanford is out of the water as well. A few of the stragglers coming out, but it's not too late. Two groups form. It's likely that they'll close together to form one large peloton, and they'll all ride together. It'll form a spectacular sight through the park and out on the streets of London.
Look at this, the series leader just getting into transition now. Again, how affected is that by the no wetsuit swim? That has put Barbara a long, long way back down, and she's going to have to work so hard to even be in contention on the bike at all.
And now they're on their way, 40 kilometres. They begin in the park, they'll also exit the park, and head down Constitution Hill, bisecting Green Park, down towards Buckingham Palace, where the roads have been closed, and they're on their way. And we have a group of 30 or so riders forming a peloton at the front of the field.
Well, I have to say I was so hoping that we were going to see a breakaway group going on that and seeing them working hard. 30 is a lot of people there, and it's very difficult to get a group identity working through. We're going to see the athletes looking, testing everybody else out now, getting off the front. Is there anybody else who's going to be willing to come with me? And if you are you prepared to really work hard so we can try and break the field down?
And that's the scene, the park below us. On the right, Sarah Haskins just 1 second clear of Sarah Groff. Kerry Lang, the best of the British triathletes, in third. Helen Jenkins right up there, and Vicky Holland and Jodie Stimpson. So lots of British interest in this race this morning. Now they exit the park through the gates and head on their way down onto Constitution Hill.
The British athletes working at the front now. Helen Jenkins saying, come on, if you're going to stay up here with me, get yourself to the front. Let's do some work, Jodie Stimpson. And Jodie taking that immediately.
And now, familiar scenes for those of you who have visited London. We'll go round and on a little loop, a mini loop in this part of the city where the roads have been closed. And imagine the scene in a year from now. This is a free event for the Olympics, no tickets required. Anybody can come and watch on the streets of London. It's the first time they've been down here and tested this section of the course with the roads closed to traffic.
Well, we've got our first glimpse of Paula Findlay there, sitting very happily on the back of that pack, freewheeling through. The early attempts to make a break don't seem to have materialised at all. I'm sure we're going to see more of that going through, but the British athletes and the Australian athletes, Emma Moffat particularly, sitting up the front there along with Emma Snowshaw and saying, well, okay, very, very happy to work, but I'm not going to do it by myself. We're going to see some breaks going through, I'm sure, but whether they can stay off the front, it's a difficult call. Well, we've got somebody making a real hit, Kerry Lang, going immediately. Kerry does not want to be in a group situation, a huge pack coming off of the back. So she's putting a marker down right now and saying, come on, let's have a go for this. Let's have a go for this. Let's see if we can break away, and let's get rid of some of the people who may be looking to run us down. Nobody going with her at the moment, I don't think, and nobody seems to be accepting that challenge. Very, very early to be going for it. Very brave of Kerry to attempt it.
So Annie, there's quite a big group here. Why? What's the motivation for actually working on the front?
Well, there's big motivation because there's a pack behind that contains some really good runners. So the likes of Spirit, who's had a running injury, knows she's not in her best running form, is going to push on and make sure that that gap from the second group really grows.
Do you think there's anyone in there that's kind of working as a domestique, trying to pull the pack on?
Could be. Kerry Lang's right at the front. We've seen her twice go by now, right on the front, working really hard. So she might be working for Helen and Jodie Stimpson, who we know are really good runners.
And she's not the best runner, Kerry?
She's not, but she's a great swimmer and she's a great biker, and we'll always expect to see her in the front pack. Unfortunately, her run does let her down a little bit, yes.
Well, there's Paula Findlay, the Canadian, the dominant figure, the winner of 3 races already this season, in Sydney, in Madrid, and again in Kitzbühel in the middle of June. Findlay has had a problem with her hip in the last few days. We'll see if that affects her. I guess the bike, probably the time when she can just ease off and sit in the middle of the pack. We'll see if that affects her.
Oh, just working through, we're going to see the athletes through and past transition in a very short time, I'm sure.
There's Aileen Morrison of Ireland, Republic of Ireland, at the back of this group.
Well, I think a reflection on the bike pace there, Matt, because Aileen was quite a long way down on the swim, over 30 seconds down on the swim. She's taken that all back on the first lap of the bike, and a very, very strong runner. We've seen that already this season.
So that's the leading group. Back into the beauty of Hyde Park now. Still setting the pace at the front is Helle Fredriksson of Denmark, and now they can take the applause from the grandstand here as they complete the first lap of 7 on this 40k bike.
It'll be interesting to get a time check on that. I think we've got all the big players here. We're just getting the confirmation coming up on the screen with Emma Moffat there, Carrie Lang, of course, Jodie Stimpson, Nicola Spiric is there. She's a lady who says been working hard on her swim while she's had a leg injury, been able to do that. Anya Dittmer's still there, Jessica Harrison, Emma Snozel is there as well.
And we'll get a check on exactly how many are in that group. It's going to be around, I reckon, 35, 40, 31 already, 32. 32, in fact, the total number in this leading group.
Well, again, I think if we hark back to the swim, we see just how hard the swim was. If we've literally broken the field in half, that's way over 30 seconds on the gap, and this small pack chasing through. They're trying to get themselves away and see if they can get that gap. They've got to close this gap down very, very early, because with so many of the athletes at the front, if they do work hard, then they're going to put a significant amount of time into the chasers.
30 seconds, the difference between the first group of 32 and the chasing pack of 6, who are then followed by another dozen. Those two will almost certainly close up and form a hunting pack of 18 with an attempt to try and bridge the gap to this leading group of 32. They're in the one of the smartest parts of London, seat of government close by. Obviously the palace, the primary residence of the Queen, originally known as Buckingham House. The original building was a large townhouse built for the Duke of Buckingham in 1705. There it is on your right, the largest private garden in London. The east front contains that famous balcony, which the royal family, on which the royal family traditionally congregate. Bought by George III as a private retreat for his wife, Queen Charlotte, who had 15 children, 14 of which were born in Buckingham Palace.
Oh, we've seen a move from Jessica Harrison there, just looking to get off the front. I don't know if she's going to be able to sustain it. She's looking back. Fredriksson's closing, going with her, but again, it does not seem to be a sustained attack at all.
There's our standings leader, Barbara Riveros Diaz. Hasn't won a race this season, but has been very consistent. She leads the World Championship Series points on 2,498, just 98 clear of Paula Findlay of Canada, who has won 3 races, but didn't take part in Hamburg in mid-July. So now they go under the archway. Wellington Arch. What a backdrop that is. That statue on top is very, very impressive. A chariot with 3 horses at the front and the winged figure on top. Built between 1826 and 1830, designed by Decimus Burton, who was responsible for a lot of the spectacular architecture that we see in this part of London. This is the graphic showing the leaders, and the chase group now just under a minute behind. So the distance has grown considerably.
So do you think with this second group, Matt, we are seeing a big concerted effort to try to get back up there? Do they feel they're still in with a chance?
Well, it's the only way they're going to get involved in prize money podium places today, is to close the gap, which is around 50 seconds or so now between the leading group and the chasers. The leaders, with Svenja Baslen of Germany taking her turn at the front of the pack, just injecting a little pace. They'll have been given a wake-up call, having seen the distance between this front peloton and the chasing group. Time for a bit of energy. Nicola Spirig on the right of your screen, 37, also taking her opportunity. And again, a further injection of pace from Carrie Lang of Great Britain, 57. She's decided that there's enough hanging about now. Time to put a bit of effort in, and she's opened up a small gap, Carrie Lang, over the rest of the leading group.
It's her third effort, Matt, isn't it? So, you know, the energy expended on that, just the upping the energy needed. She hasn't managed to get away. Nobody has matched her and gone with her. And time beginning to run out for those people who do want to try to make that break.
Back with the chase group. who have reduced the deficit by 5 or 6 seconds during the last lap, now need to go again, put further pace into their efforts to bridge the gap between them and the leading group of 34.
I'll make that 30 seconds, so they're catching very, very slowly, they're catching up.
Well, the second pack are obviously working really, really well, because as we saw when they were on the first lap of the bike, there was a whole minute gap, and now they're down to 30 seconds. So that's great work from the second pack.
But it's going to take it out of them, and it should hurt them on the run.
It's going to take out the girls that are working, but they're not all working in the second pack. There's a few that are on the front really working hard. So for the ones behind, you know, it's going to really help them because they're going to get off the bike near the leaders.
So now we get a look right across the city. The Thames at the top of your screen. There's a trio of British triathletes at the front of the field. Jenkins, Stimpson
and Kerry Lang.
All three of them. So now the gap is closing significantly. The pace has really eased off, and you can see that two groups are about to become one huge pack. The leading group really eased off over the final section of that last penultimate lap, and now the leaders, look at the group we've got here. It must be, well, there must be 50 of them at least. Goodness me. And there's the Palace of Westminster, seat of government in Great Britain. Westminster Abbey on the right, the place, the venue of the recent royal wedding. There's the London Eye, just in front of Waterloo Station on the south bank of the River Thames. So they're at the top of Constitution Hill for the final time. One of the smartest parts of London. Park Lane, leading into the Hyde Park corner with the Ritz Hotel just not far away, and the Dorchester, and plenty of other high-class establishments in the vicinity. They'll be back into Hyde Park, through the gates for the final time, and then they'll start to prepare for the arrival in transitions.
Let's look at that now, Matt, that big jockeying for position. We have the single lining now with less than a kilometre to go. Everybody's sprinting around the road. Just you're going to see them moving through. We see the hands, the fingers going down. They'll just be loosening, getting their feet out of the shoes. See the bare feet on the top of the shoes. The shoes still clicked into the pedals. Just that jockeying for position. They want to get out there. If they're held behind, you'd be losing as much as 15, perhaps 20 seconds. That's a long, long way to catch up going on to the run.
So with just a couple of 100 metres to go until transition, a group of 60 or so riders locked together in combat here, just biding their time. One or two looking for some daylight over on riders right of the track. This could be spectacular. It could also be very chaotic with such a massive group coming in to hang up their bikes. There's a dismount line. The leaders are there now. They've got to get off the bike and jog through. They'll have rehearsed this mentally. Lisa Norden officially first in. She looks for her section where the bike has to be placed. Hewitt is there. Stimpson, the first of the British riders. Helen Jenkins is through as well, number 11. She'll be looking for a fast and effective transition. Sarah Haskins is through. Snowshill, the Olympic champion, is into transition. And there's Emma Moffat, the Olympic bronze medalist. She's on her way out.
So it's turned into a running race. Who's running the best? My money's on an Australian called Emma.
Well, there's three Emmas to choose from, you're right, but actually I've more got my money on Helen Jenkins today. I think she's running incredibly strong. Jodie Stimpson also, just off the back of that great win at the Docklands London Triathlon last weekend. She's got a huge amount of confidence going into this race. And let's not forget Paula Finley. We know she's had a few little injury niggles, but she is world class and she won here last year, so she's also in with a great shot.
So 67 started and 56, so just 11 not involved of the starters in that lead group. That makes things very interesting. Helen Jenkins of Great Britain on the right of your screen, Emma Moffat of Australia on the left, Jodie Stimpson just behind her, just behind that leading pair. Well, it's wide open here.
Nicola Spirit's there as well, Matt. She's been injured, she's been running, been swimming a lot. Her general fitness is very, very good, but I think she's put her marker down to go out there along with Moffat. There we see them now, and a big group out there in contention at the moment. The hammer's going to go down very quickly, and we can see a big dropping off, I'm sure.
It's Norden Marua Spirig officially 1, 2, 3 after the bike, but that has no bearing on what's about to happen with so many good runners out there. It's wide open here in Hyde Park, and it's beginning to spread now. That gives you an idea of the gap between this leading group, which is now down to about, well, it's down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, with a gap of about 10 meters to the next 5.
But the stretch beginning, I think that lead group of the 17 just going to be coming down one by one as just the sheer pace of the run is just going to force them off the back.
Snowzill's been slightly left. There's been a kick at the front of the field. While we were watching the chasers, a group of 2 or 3 started to inject some pace into the race. You can see, in fact, there are 3. I think Jenkins and Stimpson and Jackson are there, and 1 other.
Well, that's certainly Jackson in 4th place. Now, is that Paula Findlay up the front there? Let's have a check through. We have got that 4 away. It looks, well, that's Helen Jenkins leading through.
Helen Jenkins, Jodie Stimpson.
And Emma Jackson. Now, is that Aida from Japan?
Aida from Japan, indeed it is, yeah.
And so Paula Findlay is back there. Paula Findlay's back in around 10th or 12th place, along with Emma Snowsall there, Matt.
Findlay struggling with that hip injury. We knew about that earlier in the week. Now, no British woman has won in Hyde Park. Helen Jenkins has twice been 3rd. Jodie Stimpson, we know, is on good form. Ueda of Japan, Ueda, number 11, has joined the leading quartet, which also includes Emma Jackson. We have a breakaway group of 4, including 2 British triathletes. Things really hotting up here in the park.
Big effort by Helen Jenkins. Big effort. She wants to get away from Paula Findlay. She's been beaten by her twice this year on a sprint. And now Jenkins is forcing it. Helen Jenkins forcing it. Even before the halfway mark, Jodie Stimpson just looks up. She's got to cover. There's Emma Moffat. Emma Moffat just really falling behind there. Along with, that's Paula Findlay. So Emma Moffat and Paula Findlay. We know Paula's been having the injury problems there. Emma Snowsall just falling off the back there after that initial very, very fast burst out of transition.
Helen is looking good.
Helen is looking outstanding. I mean, really, without Paula Findlay being really on form today, it's got to be Helen's race. Helen and Paula have battled it out in the last 2 World Championship Series races that they've done, and Paula's always got the better of her. But that we know that Paula's been injured, so there's a very good chance that it's Helen's day today.
So they're halfway through the run. 5 kilometres done, 5 kilometres to go. And the leader is Helen Jenkins from Great Britain. Twice 3rd here in the past. An hour and 43 minutes of swimming, biking and running with 5k still to go. Stimpson has been dropped down to around 6th position now, with a significant move being made by Andrea Dittmer. And Paula Findlay is way off the pace. Helen Jenkins leads for Great Britain with 2 laps of the run to go.
We're just seeing a clear gap for the first time. Now, Helen Jenkins is not giving in at all, nor is Emma Jackson. She's chasing her through, but that 5-second gap maybe now out to 7 or 8 seconds with, oh, we must be closing in on around 4 kilometres to go only, Matt, with that. But they have just drawn away, haven't they, from everybody else. Anya Dittmer, as we saw, just as she started relatively comfortably on the run and just beginning to break through. But the first 2, the leaders really are getting a significant gap on the rest of the field.
Helicopter shot there over the Serpentine Bridge shows you the lead that this athlete, Helen Jenkins from Bridgend, has over her next best rival, Emma Jackson. 27 years of age now. Helen Jenkins, formerly Helen Tucker, 2nd in Kitzbühel earlier this year, twice 3rd, twice on the podium here in London, but never victorious. Possibly today. Emma Jackson in 2nd position, beginning to lose her way slightly. There's a A couple behind her, closing the gap slowly. Here she is, the leader with 2.5 kilometres to go. Helen Jenkins of Great Britain, and the crowd beginning to show their appreciation. She's got a huge advantage now. Will it be enough to see her through this final lap? She swam solidly. She rode her bike well around the streets of West London, and now she leads with 1 lap to go. Look how easy it is for Helen Jenkins with 1.5 kilometres to race. She's full of running, enjoying this moment now. She can sense success at last in Hyde Park, having twice finished in 3rd position. Today the victory is hers. She'll look over across the lake. She's on the far side of the Serpentine from our commentary position now, going away from us, but she'll cross again and head back towards the blue carpet and the finishing line, and fingers crossed, victory just a few minutes from now. Helen Jenkins leading the way still in Hyde Park, and the battle for 2nd and 3rd continues.
Oh, the hammer really went down there, didn't it, Matt? We saw her coming through. She'd opened the gap. Emma Jackson had gone back into the group. Maybe a bit of a second wind there for Emma Jackson. The 2 Americans. We called Emma Snowsall really fighting her way through. Up now with Anya Dittman. Now look at that. Helen Jenkins with what, 1 kilometre to go, perhaps around 800 metres. She's got to be feeling confident. She looks so strong, doesn't she? Absolutely focused. Now, who's that in 2nd place? Who's that in 2nd place as Emma Snowsall goes past Jackson?
I think it's Gwen Jorgensen of the USA who's kicked away, because Hewitt's in that group who are battling for 3rd position now.
Well, that's a huge breakthrough for her. That's a huge breakthrough, and that gives her selection for the United States of America for the Olympic Games.
The Union flags are flying proudly in Hyde Park. Helen Jenkins has run an heroic race through the park today and has kicked away with fantastic timing towards the end of this run, and Jenkins will win in Hyde Park and will win comfortably with a massive margin. She's picked up her flag, she's beginning to celebrate. Jenkins cruising home now, starting to appreciate and to save a victory. Jenkins wins in Hyde Park, just over 2 hours her time. What a win for her. Helen Jenkins, twice 3rd in the park, wins today. 2nd place for Gwen Jorgensen of the United States of America, and it's Dittmar of Germany who comes home in 3rd position. Jackson just pipping Snowsall. The Australians in 4th and 5th, with Hewitt in 6th, but in the end, from a British perspective, it's all about Helen Jenkins, who's come close twice in the past, but with 1 year to go as the Olympic countdown continues. Jenkins is at the top of the table in Hyde Park. She'll return as one of the favourites, fitness permitting, in 12 months from now to go for Olympic glory and Olympic gold. Helen Jenkins steps up to the highest point of the podium to accept her gold medal today. Will she be on the Olympic podium in 12 months from now to pick up an Olympic gold medal? A day that Helen Jenkins will never forget.
I've had a cold all week and I've been trying to, just take it really easy and just get rid of the cold, and I wasn't sure I could pull that out today. Oh, the crowd were fantastic. There's so many people shouting for me. I thank you, everyone.
I was shouting for you. I think everyone was shouting for you.
Oh, it hurt so much, that last lap. And they said 20 seconds. I'm like, if I blow up, I'm going to lose 20 seconds. So I pushed right to the blue carpet, and Oh, it was so hard.
Did you really think coming into today that you could have such a big lead on the run?
No, I knew that my training's been going really well. I knew if it all went my way, I could win or be on the podium, which met as an Olympic selection. But I felt I didn't have a great swim. I felt awful on the bike, and it was really easy. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a lot. And the first lap of the run, I was like, oh, I'm not sure. And then, yeah, I got a lead. And then my husband and Coach Mark were screaming at me. I was like, oh, just keep going, keep going. And we've been doing some really good training sessions together, so I kind of visualised us doing those sessions and him yelling at me to go faster.
It's surreal. It's a huge honor, and I can only, give credit to my coaches in USA Triathlon. They've helped me out so much. My teammates helped me out, so it's great.
I wasn't sure if I still have it in me because I'm not the youngest anymore, but I have lots of experience, and I don't know, I just pulled it together today on the day when it counted it the most this year, and I'm just so happy.
So happy with your performance today?
Yeah, apart from the last 5k then, but everyone else was good, and it was moving in the right direction.
And what were your views of the course?
Oh, it's awesome, but the course is phenomenal, but the spectators make this course, and every year it gets better and better, and today topped it as well, so it's awesome.
The course was amazing going around Buckingham Palace. I think half the people down there were like, what the hell is going on? But like these people on bikes and swimming costumes coming past, but I guess they'll know in a year's time what's going on.
Yeah, next year I think they'll definitely know what's going on. We've got Javier Gomez just setting up his transition spot there. He was the winner here at Hyde Park last year. Richard, it was great to see a British winner here at Hyde Park a year before the Olympics. Fantastic.
Well, we couldn't have asked for a better result, really, could we? That's what we wanted to see. Helen certainly was after that. That's what she's been working towards. 2 third places here, comes in with the win now. 12 months out, it's the best preparation you could hope for. Scaring your opponents into, looking at you, and you're putting yourself out there and saying, this course suits me, and that's what she needed.
And she's not a big fan of the course, but she certainly showed that it suits her. She struck out there in the run and just stayed there.
Well, I think she said in her interview she wasn't feeling well this week, and if that's Helen Jenkins on a bad day, I look forward to 12 months' time.
She said it really hurt.
Yeah. Every race hurts. I think, at the end of the day, it's going to. But in some cases, it might be hurting during a race, but when you cross that line, you forget about the pain. She didn't forget about the pain, so obviously there was something wrong there. But Helen Jenkins on a bad day is still a winner.
And she certainly fits the qualification criteria for the Olympics. We can't say 100% she's there, but she's pretty much in the Olympics.
Exactly. The qualification criteria, they will put 2 people forward at the end of September, and Helen will be one of those people. They may not put a second forward at that stage if certain results, if there's no more podiums in Beijing, for example. So Helen is almost certainly going to go to the Olympics, but we cannot categorically say that until the end of June next year, when the actual nominations go forward to the National Olympic Committee. And that will be the case in many sports, I think. You have to wait till that period when actually the 3 names for the event will go forward, and then they are accepted.
Who are going to be the girls getting in the way of Helen medaling here in London next year? Paula Findlay wasn't too fit yesterday.
Well, if we look back at the previous Olympic Games, it could be absolutely anyone. I think the last Games in Beijing, the favourite did win in Emma Snowsill. She was clearly a cut above the rest, and there were a couple of contenders, but really you couldn't look past that, and she won. But that's the first time that's happened. So if we go into form, it could be anyone. Helen certainly set herself up brilliantly, but there are, the Australians, Emma Snowsill, Emma Moffat. You can't, last year's champion of the series, Emma Moffat, and Snowsill, previous Olympic champion. But there are a host of other athletes in there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, who comes out. Paula Findlay from Canada, not on form at the moment with a small injury, but she's shown she can win here too.
If you were Helen, knowing you're pretty much in the Olympics next year, how would you spend your winter to ensure you're at your best in 12 months' time?
As I could, I think. The pressure's off her. She's done all she can do to get in the team. There's nothing more she can do now. So she will be selected, we hope. There's no, you're pretty much 99% in there. So that's out of her mind. She's now focused on staying in the best shape she can, the absolute best shape she can for the next 12 months, injury-free. I spoke to Mark, her husband, and she said his words that she is bulletproof in the gym. So she is in that gym every day, looking after that body, keeping all the muscles working for her, staying supple, staying mobile, and that will reduce those chances of injury. She'll work hard this winter and then go into the Olympic year in the best shape she can possibly be.
And who are the other British girls that could get an Olympic spot?
We're looking at Jodie Simpson. Yesterday had a great result, 14th. She's on the way up. She's definitely on the upward trajectory. She ran a race a week ago, an Olympic distance race. 6 days ago she raced, she won that race, and she's backed it up with 14th place on the Olympic course. So there's a good, she's really stating her case. But to be honest, the criteria is such that she needs to get on the podium. And that's the case for all the girls. They've got to get themselves on a podium at a World Championship Series race, and that will then put them in contention for that Olympic slot. And so that's what we're hoping for.
Well, if a British win here in Hyde Park has inspired you guys to get into the water, here's how you can get involved.
And now for the main news again.
Come on! I'm in. We're in! The big splash. Everybody's doing it. To find out more, visit bbc.co.uk/Big Splash.
Well, it's not every day that you see Georgie Alagaya in goggles, and not every day that world champions and gold medal hopes would have to sit opposite their main rival at the breakfast table, but that's the deal in the Brownlee household. And the last time we saw the Brownlee brothers here in Hyde Park, we witnessed a very different story. We had Johnny sprinting home from out of the shadows of his brother, and then we had Alistair dramatically falling away. The older brothers, Ali, spent the last winter taking stock and training very, very hard.
And that's the end of one lap. Javier Gomez wins the London Triathlon. Johnny Brownlee has come past his brother to take second, but what has happened to Alistair Brownlee?
From about 400 metres out, I got no memory until I woke up like on a bed. Had an absolute shocker of a day.
He can barely make his way to the finishing line. Terrible sight. Alistair Brownlee gave it absolutely everything and more.
Just a bit wary now because, I know I can be as fit as you can be, and that tiny little thing can go wrong on the day and has massive consequences.
The Brownlees' preparations for 2011 began in November as they headed to the volcanic island of Lanzarote to escape the British winter. It may have been sunbathing weather, but there was little time for rest and recuperation.
It's kind of nice temperature, and when you're riding, it's quite windy, so it doesn't feel hot. It just feels nice not to have 2 pairs of tights on. That's one of the best things about being here, it's not getting dark before 4 o'clock. I mean, when you've got to cram all the training into before 4 o'clock, everything gets a lot more difficult. So, yeah, it's nice having a bit more time, a bit more daylight.
But by the new year, there was no escaping the British climate.
You've got to learn to adapt to the conditions, and, you're going to get the training in, but not worry about making it too hard and too cold for yourself, because I think that becomes a bit counterproductive then.
Snow wasn't his only problem. A persistent ankle injury was hampering his training and affecting his mental preparation.
Injuries are an absolute nightmare. It's the not knowing, I think that's the worst part. It's when you don't know what the injury is or how long it takes to recover. Once you know what it is and a way to heal it, that's kind of when you're back on the recovery streak and it gets all right.
Alistair was still the man to beat, but it was clear his brother was quietly confident of a strong year to come.
Alistair, he's world champion 2009. He keeps on improving, he trains hard, so I've got a bit of catching up to do yet, but I've got to believe I can beat him.
Belief can take you a long, long way. At the opening World Championship Series event in Sydney, Jonathan had a very good day, unlike Alistair.
In the race, everything just seemed to go wrong. I jumped on my bike and my seat post slipped down. I punctured at the end of the bike, got around the run and I fell over and I thought, oh, can anything else go wrong in this race? And that's it, I never really got going again after that.
Jonathan came in second in Sydney, behind reigning world champion Javier Gomez. It would be the template for his year.
Sydney was absolutely shocking. After that, it's picked up. A World Cup in Madrid, which I won, and Johnny was second.
Brownlee 1, Brownlee 2. It's Alistair Brownlee for the 3rd consecutive year.
World Series race in Kitzbühel, which I won.
Brownlee will take victory here in Kitzbühel for the 2nd time in his career.
So that's been pretty good, really. My season's been a story of seconds. A lot of them have been behind Alistair. Last year, I would start a World Series and I'd be number 55, I'd be on the pontoon 55th, Alistair would be on there first, and I'd
I'd say bye to him down the line, and I'd see you on the course. But now I'm getting used to being ranked a bit higher, and I'm starting to enjoy that. But yeah, I'm really pleased with my season so far.
Spain's Atlantic coast was the backdrop for the European Championships. It would be the final chance for the Brownlees to assess their form ahead of London. And their form was good. Despite a puncture, Alistair dragged himself back into contention, thanks to some Tour de France-style team orders and some brotherly love. Another Brownlee family won too, with Javier Gomez way back in 40th. After their Spanish adventure, it was time to sample the restoring air of the Swiss Alps.
It's a really nice place to train at this time of year. And it's altitude as well, which is important. There's that bit thinner, it's a bit harder, and hopefully it gets you that bit fitter.
But the training camp was as much about attitude as altitude. With the London Triathlon and the chance of Olympic qualification drawing ever nearer, this was a chance to reflect and focus on what would be needed for the year ahead.
Every race we've done since Sydney has been a complete success, really. So yeah, and I think we're learning more and more every week about how to train and how to recover and how to get ready for races, especially. I think that's something we've both got a lot better at in the last year, you know, preparing for races and being at your best on race day.
Richard, Alistair has such a fantastic record in the series so far. He's won 9 out of the 12 races he's competed in.
Yeah, it's amazing. An outstanding record he's got. The other athletes are looking at him. He's had a couple of hiccups, one being here last year, where a bit of stomach upset caused him to fade in the last, literally the last kilometre of the race. But he really is a force to be reckoned with, and there isn't one of them. There's 2 of the Brownlees, and I think that's the biggest scare for the rest of the world. But there really isn't just one. You know, you're taking on one, but then another one pops up.
Johnny came second here, of course, last year. It really feels like he's coming into his own too, doesn't it?
I think both of them are maturing together, and I think that's because they train together, and that's almost very, very unique in triathlon time. I don't think we can think of any other siblings that have worked together quite like this, and they feed off each other. Rather than it being a hindrance, it's a help. They work together day in, day out. They almost communicating telepathically, if you like, in a race. They don't speak, they know what the other's doing. So we saw at the European Championships, Johnny helping his brother out. Alistair gets a puncture, Johnny slows the race down. You know, they're all looking at the Brownlees.
And then Alistair goes and beats Johnny into first place, though.
Yeah, well, I think they probably sat down and agreed. And they said, once we get to the end of the bike ride, it's a free-for-all. Whoever can go the fastest on the run takes it. And I think what we may see over the next few years is Alistair dominating at the moment, but perhaps Johnny coming up to him. I mean, it's almost happening now. We could, at 2012, have the perfect scenario for the Great Britain team, where both of them are going head-to-head and the rest of the world are miles behind.
It really is a unique dynamic. But so you think that Johnny isn't going to continue to... It almost appears like he's sacrificing himself to help his brother. He will come out on his own and start winning on his own.
Well, I think they're going to work together. They're going to look to help each other.
So Alistair will start helping Johnny out.
Alistair will help Johnny. Johnny will help Alistair. And you know, if when a third Brit gets into the team, in the men's team, then, you know, I think they'll work as a team just naturally, because 2 of them are so close that the rest of the next member of the team will just have to gel and work with that.
Britain has such a strong field in the men's triathlon. Why has Team GB failed to convert that success in the World Championships into Olympic medals?
I think, there's a statistic out there that Great Britain are one of the strongest, if not the strongest, if you go back to World Championships at any distance and almost any age group within this sport. Great Britain is the strongest. We haven't converted that to an Olympic medal yet. The elusive Olympic medal, it comes around once every 4 years. It's not something that you can easily prepare for. We've had a great result. Michelle Dillon, I think, is our highest finish in 6th ever. But it never goes to form the Olympics to date. You know, apart from that one Emma Snowsill victory, the rest, all the other 6 or 8 medals that have gone, have come from nowhere, and you're not quite sure where it's going to happen. I think that's the thing about the Olympics. Well, hopefully this time, to make the exception that's going to prove the rule will be the Brownlees getting up on that podium.
We of course talk a lot about the Brownlees. They are the stars of British triathlon, but we're not guaranteed a 1-2 success here today. There are lots of other names that you guys should be watching out for.
Wearing number 1 from Spain.
Tim Don is the old man of the British team now, but it's too early to write off the 2006 world champion who's still capable of top 10 performances.
I still love the sport, and we had a daughter 9 months ago. I'd love for Matilda to come and watch me next year in 2012 and tell her grandchildren that her dad was an Olympian, in their home city of London.
Triathlon's Mr. Consistent over the last 5 years and the reigning world champion, Javier Gomez is currently the Brownlee's strongest competition. A grinder rather than a sprinter, watch him trying to break the field early on.
This is the Olympic course. This is what we are going to find next year at the Olympic Games, so everyone is really motivated. All the athletes are trying to give their best here. It's going to be a very interesting race.
It's been a real breakthrough year for Great Britain's Will Clark. The former under-23 world champion secured his first Senior World Series podium place at the last race in Hamburg.
2 will get selected this year and 1 next year, and we've got probably the hardest team in the world to qualify for, so I'm just going to get out there and try my hardest, and I think I'm prepared enough, and hopefully I'll produce a really good performance.
Germany's Jan Frodeno was a surprise winner of the Beijing Olympic Games, but he's no one-hit wonder. He was 3rd here last year and is a regular finisher in the top 10.
Nothing greater exists in the world of sports than the Olympics, so my motivation is, I think, unparalleled, and that really, I think, is my biggest advantage.
Richard, I make it about 5 minutes to go until the race. We've just seen Will Clark and the Brownlee brothers make their way down this transition area to get ready to go onto the pontoon for the start of the race. What's going through their heads right now? Has the race already started?
Absolutely, they're focused solely on what they're doing. A massive cheer went up from this huge crowd for both Will Clark and the Brownlee brothers.
If that was this year, can you imagine what it will be like next year?
I have no idea what it'll be like next year. We've got Tim Don walking down now. He looks very pensive. He's ready. He's wanting to race fast.
Keeping his body warm there?
Yeah, he's got a special jacket on there to keep himself warm. It's an indifferent day. They've been into the warm-up already, so they've already had that visualisation process working for them. And some of the athletes will get a little bit cold as they come out, so they'll put these jackets on to stay warm. We've got Mikey Petzold there from Germany. He's walking down. He hasn't got anything on. He's warm. He's ready to go.
And so, it's not a wetsuit swim
non-wetsuit swim, so they're just in their tri-suits. That can affect athletes in different ways. Some athletes much prefer the wetsuit. It allows them more buoyancy in the water. But those strong swimmers, they prefer the no wetsuit swim, and that's where the Brits should do well, because they like that no wetsuit swim. The Brownlee brothers, Clarkey, and of course Stu Hayes, Tim Don, they all like that no wetsuit swim, so hopefully today will suit them.
Earlier on we saw everyone getting their transition spots ready. How important is that part of the race? Some people I've heard call it the 4th race in a triathlon.
Yeah, the fourth discipline. It is, and certainly you've got to have them slick, and the majority of the athletes here have got them super slick. If you look in the results afterwards, you'll see less than a second or about a second separating fastest and slowest amongst the favourites through transition, but you can lose the race in transition. So you've got to make sure that as you come in off the swim onto the bike, you're super fast to get in that pack, and then as you go out from the bike onto the run, the trainers go on quickly and you're up there in contention.
Do they know, for example, what shoe they're putting on first? I mean, does it go to that level of detail?
Yes, it gets practiced in hotel rooms all around the world.
Really?
They literally, the night before the race, they want to check the tension on those laces. They use elastic laces in their trainers, and they will be sliding them on and sliding them off, and they will know left foot first, right foot first, whichever it is. They'll have a routine, and that's in your system. It's subconsciously there. You don't even think. You just go for it. I'm left foot, right foot. Somebody else might be right, left, and it's all about the tension in those laces. If they get that right, the trainers go on quickly. They've got a really good chance on the run.
They're all making their way to the pontoon. What is going through their minds right now?
It's total focus on probably just the swim at the moment. Because
they're not thinking about the whole race?
I don't think the whole race will be going through their heads. They'll be maybe running through that quickly, and I'll have a brief picture of the whole race, but really the start of the swim is so important. Those first minute and a half, when everyone in triathlon starts way too fast. I always, when I'm doing some coaching, I always say, don't start too fast. Well, here at this level, you have to start fast. There's no choice in it. The first 150 metres is flat out, and then you'll settle into a position, and hopefully that is a good slot. You've got a nice comfortable position. Then you begin to get your breath back, but your arms at that point are beginning to feel heavy, and you've got to get up to that first buoy in a good position to then maintain that throughout the rest of the swim.
Now, as we mentioned earlier, this race is one of 7 races in the ITU World Championship Series. And as it stands at the moment, the standings don't necessarily reflect who is going to win after the Beijing Grand Final next month. That's because athletes are quite strategic about which race they choose to take part in. As it stands, defending world champion Javier Gomez, who won here last year, is the leader of the pack, but he hasn't really been up to his usual high standard lately. Consistency all year has paid off for Brit Will Clark, who's in 2nd place, and the Brownlees are sticking together even in the rankings at number 7 and 8. Time for the men's race to get going very, very soon. Your commentators are Matt Chilton and Steve True.
Athletes, you are now in the hands of the starters. Ladies and gentlemen,
thank you, Sonali.
for the event start.
It's a warm, sunny day now, but 40 minutes ago, the heavens opened and there was a downpour of rain. And looking above, there are some clouds around which may provide some more precipitation as the race unfolds. But the elite men are lined up on the pontoon, the blue carpeted pontoon, ready to dive into the Serpentine for a 1.5 kilometre swim, followed by a 40k bike and a 10k run to round things off. Brownlee brothers on the extreme right of the pontoon. They're all getting set. Silva of Portugal there is having a consistent season as well. The Germans are together. 7 and 8 the numbers worn by the Brownlees today. 7 for Alistair, 8 for Jonathan. Just waiting for the hooter to sound. Tense moments here for these elite athletes. The age groupers have been and gone. This is the real race of the day. The flag raised. That's the scene from the helicopter up above. Now they step forward and away they go. Racing in the Serpentine, 1.5 kilometres in the water. It's not as warm as it was yesterday, but still no need for wetsuits. And they're scrambling for position early on. Time to say good afternoon to Steve True.
Thank you, Matt. What a fascinating race here this afternoon. The women's race was absolutely tremendous. What a fabulous victory by Helen Jenkins. But the men, I think, is going to be just as exciting. I wonder if we're going to see the same tactics. We had a fairly slow, fairly laid-back bike yesterday. I think with the men, we may be seeing attack after attack after attack. I'm told there are 112 turns on the bike course, and with that is pretty exceptional. Interesting to see where Alistair and Jonathan put themselves on the swim, looking for clean water, I would think, for that. And interesting also that we had Simon Whitfield, the Olympic champion, and Chris McCormack making his comeback, getting onto the pontoon relatively late because of their current rankings at world level, and maybe going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage in the swim to begin with, and maybe called up in the middle of the pack.
Aurélien Raphael of France is the man who's setting the pace at the front of the field. Quite often the French enter very talented swimmers into triathlons, and we've seen it in the past. Good swimmers leading the way out of the water, but falling away as they get onto the bike. Here's a look back at the start, clean start for both the Brownlee brothers. Alistair and Jonathan starting in lanes 2 and 3, although forget about the lanes. Away they go into clean water, looking for clear water at every opportunity. It's a different course in the Serpentine this year. In the past, they've come out of the water after a 750-metre loop and dived back in. The Olympic specifications don't allow for that, so this year, as it's an Olympic test event, they'll stay in the water, they'll swim in this direction, and they'll come back, swim back past the pontoon towards the eastern end of the Serpentine before returning and exiting via the carpeted steps, running towards their bikes. And then another new element this year is the exit of the park out onto the streets of West London, around Park Lane, through Wellington Arch, down Constitution Hill, although there's barely a hill really there, past Buckingham Palace, round the Victoria Memorial, and back up towards the park. A few dark clouds around. We had a burst of rain a little while ago. The forecasters suggest we may get a little more. Now they form this arrowhead with the leading swimmers cutting through the clean water and the others jostling for position, aware that they need to avoid elbows and arms at the forthcoming turn.
Well, it's got Aurelien Raphael leading there, Matt, coming this soon. Now, I was expecting the Russians to make a really big hit on that to get out on the lead, and that's quite surprising. So we've talked a little bit about team tactics before. Wonder if Aurelien has gone up there to be looking to bring David House into contention on the swim to be looking after him. We'll have to wait and see on that. Just getting a pick-up on Mike Petzold, trying to get involved in that. Mike, if anything, has a little bit to do on the swim. He's been up there and around for the German team. He didn't make the German team last time for the Olympic Games, but I know he's desperately to do that at the moment.
What a shot that is, looking down onto the Serpentine with the crowds 4 deep on the bank there. Now this is the first turn. Raphael is the first man through. Now things start to get a little bit interesting behind him. It's carnage out there sometimes. It can be really painful. Swimming goggles can be lost. You can get a kick in painful parts. Oh, and there's a real scrabble. We've seen it in the past. Some of the elite athletes have been fished out of the water by these men on the rescue kayaks alongside in the past. In top-level races, it can be very dangerous.
Well, interesting there, Matt, just watching the swimmers come past on the first turning buoy, and Alistair Brownlee was not up there in the top 10. We can see again how difficult it is they go around the third buoy just here. But I was fascinated to see where Alistair and Jonathan chose their starting position. 7th and 8th being called out because of world ranking, so they had a good choice, and they chose to go way over on the right-hand side. Now, maybe they were looking for clear water on that, but coming round that first buoy, they seem to have a lot to do there.
Serpentine formed originally by damming the Westbourne stream. Artificial lakes at the time were normally long and straight, but the Serpentine was designed to look natural. It was soon copied in parks around the country. Jan Frodeno, the Olympic champion in 2008 in Beijing, following a dramatic sprint finish where he overtook Simon Whitfield, who was the inaugural Olympic champion. Both men racing today. Whitfield the champion in 2000. The man who took the medal in between, Hamish Carter, from New Zealand, has since retired. So we've got 2 of the 3 Olympic champions in the history of the sport racing today.
Well, Jan Frodeno had a very mixed season last year, didn't he? Going into the World Series final and really fell away on that. But so he's looking tremendous at the moment, it has to be said. Lived in South Africa for 15, 16 years. You can see still hear that when he speaks to us, of course. But has put the marker down early on the swim. And we're still waiting to get confirmation of exactly where Alistair and Jonathan Brownlee are, and equally where are Will Clark and Tim Don out on their swim. Very fast through. Frodeno up there with Raphael early on in the swim.
Jan Frodeno, the Olympic champion, taking a look at his form through the water, finding himself out in front. He's keen to re-establish the form he showed in Beijing when he took the gold medal. Pretty fast through the water here. The wind that was troubling the age groupers earlier today as they made their efforts in the Serpentine has eased off, and it's quite calm now. There is still a breeze, but nowhere near as stiff as it was at 8:30 this morning.
Well, a very big spread on the swim already, Matt. We're not even halfway there, and that elite men's field has really just stretched and stretched. Now, that has to be because of the hard work being done at the front of the pack by Raphael and by Frodeno. And again, as we said, you know, still waiting to get confirmation of exactly where the Brownlees were. My opinion, looking at Alistair coming round on the first buoy, he was maybe back in 15th, 20th place. Now, of course, that's not that important early on. What is important as they progress through the swim, particularly as we come towards the end to get that good possession into transition. But if there is a significant difference, and if the athletes do manage to get away on the bike, which we certainly saw them trying yesterday with Kerry Lang making attack after attack after attack, then that could have an input on the final results of the race.
Closest to us, Stefan Justus, another one of the talented Germans. He's wearing 18. João Silva of Portugal alongside him. In fact, now that's Sven Rieder of Switzerland wearing 4. There's a real scramble. These guys yet to really find freedom in the water. There's lots of physical contact going on as they come past the Lido, which is closed at the moment, which is open to members every day of the year. It's opened back in 1930, the Lido here.
Well, I think we had a first quick glimpse of Jonathan Brownlee. They're up challenging in that lead group. Not right at the front, but beginning to make his mark through. Now, if Jonathan is there, then certainly Alistair is not going to be too far away from him.
So they're coming past the blue carpeted pontoon where everything began a few moments ago, and they swim out towards the eastern side of the lake before turning back and heading for the exit steps. The kayaks and paddle boards there just keeping a close eye on things, particularly at these turns around these giant inflatable buoys. This is where the sport can become particularly dangerous, and of course when they're riding around the streets and it's wet, or when they're running, as we saw with Alistair Brownlee, who fell during a run section of the race earlier in the season. It can have its moments, triathlon.
Of course, there is that, Matt, particularly when it's been dry. We get a little bit of grease, a little bit of dirt on the road, then the just water on the top, and it can be very, very difficult underfoot, particularly, as you say, on the turns. Frodeno still at the front, Raphael still at the front. A huge stretch going on. I know the athletes will be so pleased, the majority of them, that it really is a no wetsuit swim. The athletes calling it as an even swim. David House from France there, moving up in third place, I make that at the moment.
Yeah, House is third in the overall standings, the man from Paris, 27 years of age, engaged to Melanie Anaheim of Switzerland, who raced in the women's competition yesterday. He's had a solid, if not spectacular season, David House, the Frenchman. 29 coming through. 29 is Ivan Vasiliev of Russia. There are a handful of very talented Russians in the race. They're always a threat. Look out in particular for the two brothers, the Polyansky brothers. Dmitry, who's 24, and his brother Igor, who's wearing number 56 today. The Polyansky brothers will work together a little bit like the Brownlee brothers when they get out of the water and onto the road.
Such a depth of swimming in the Russians generally on this World Series. They've made their mark over the last couple of years particularly. Always expect to see the Russians at the front there.
Interesting how close they're staying to each other, some of these leading guys. There will be some bruises and black eyes, I'm sure of it, because normally they spread a little bit further than this. As we look down on the park, 350 acres, open from 5 in the morning till midnight all year. It was originally created after Henry VIII, who's always involved in these sorts of things, seized the park from the monks of Westminster Abbey in 1536, decided to turn it into his own personal deer park for hunting. No deer left, he must have had them all.
I mean, the guys doing the hunting at the moment, Matt, are these ones in mid-pack who are really looking to come through and set themselves up. Vasiliev, they're still working hard, not right at the front of the pack. We thought he'd be up there with the Russians working through. It's very, very tight. Almost see to that initial stretch out, the sprint away. Richard Stannard referred to that. Perhaps some of the swimmers going off a little bit too fast. Those conserving their energy just managed to go through. Now, Alistair Brownlee, first real sighting of him, confirmed that he is up there in and amongst that leading pack. So Alistair Brownlee confirmed. We know he was with Jonathan Brownlee, so fingers crossed. Let's hope that we've got Jonathan Brownlee up there along with Alistair. Waiting for that glimpse of Will Clark and Tim Don. Will in great form at the moment, Matt. Absolutely tremendous form, isn't he?
Second in the standings at the moment, Will, the 26-year-old from Cambridge. Recently took to some warm weather training in Lanzarote. He had his first podium in Hamburg at the last World Championship Series race, coached by former Olympian Michelle Dillon, who's got a group of athletes that she's looking after. And there's the World Championship standings leader, Javier Gomez of Spain, the 2010 World Championship leader, the winner already this year in Sydney, and very much the man to beat. The defending champion here in Hyde Park, Javier Gomez of Spain.
Well, Gomez up with that leading section now, looking over every time he breathes to the left, breathing to the left. He's watching Frodeno. He's going to be delighted to be there as he goes through. And we must be around 2/3 of the way through the swim already. It just seems to be sprinting at the moment. A lot of almost clear water. People finding it quite difficult, I think, to get a very, very good draft on the hip or on the feet. Really because of the speed that these swimmers are leading us through at the front. We are getting that stretch through. We can look down. One of my interests, Matt, I have to say, is Chris McCormack. Chris McCormack, who was world champion back in 1997, he contentiously didn't make the Olympic team for Australia in 2000. And 11 years down the line, he's put his mark down and says, you know what, I want to go to the Olympics, I really do, and has totally changed his training, coming away from the longer distances, coming back to Olympic distance, and wants to make the selectors really take a stronger interest in him for Australia and for the London Olympic Games next year.
So the swim field is fairly well stretched now as they approach the final stages and the run for home. We look down on the city. That block of 4 on the left of your screen there, known as One Hyde Park, modestly. I'm reliably informed that those 4 buildings contain some of the most expensive apartments ever built, and there's still some for sale if you're interested, but you'll need a few quid.
And that'd be the big winnings here today in the triathlon series would take that.
It's just started to rain again, lightly. So the expected rain showers are arriving, and that could make the run and the bike, of course, even more so. Slightly more interesting, slightly more dangerous on the tight corners. Steve mentioned there were more than 100 to negotiate. So the rain continues to fall. Things will get slippery and dangerous underfoot and under wheel. So now the triathletes start to think about the exit from the Serpentine, the climb up the steps, and the entrance into transition. With just over 300 meters to swim, they'll start to consider how quickly and efficiently they can make the change from the water to the 2 wheels. And it's fairly well spread now. There are 67 starters, and we will see a group of 25 plus coming out of the water in rapid succession across the carpeted area and into the transition area where the bikes are already high up and ready to go with front wheels facing outwards. And as Richard Stannard mentioned, they have all rehearsed time and time again the entry and the exit of transition, which is described often as the 4th element of triathlon.
Well, I think particularly so here, Matt, because the speed of the swim at the front, I think we're going to see the swimmers out in between, I'm guessing, 18:15, 18:30 perhaps. So significantly faster than we saw the women's swim earlier. But that spread of the swim now, just looking down the course, I would say that we have an absolutely huge spread there. That has got to be over 90 seconds going right the way through. Now, that is going to be very, very difficult to catch up. With the women earlier, we did see that second pack catch into the first one, but I think there's going to be some big movers at the front of the men's pack. So much Olympic selection, France, Australia, Switzerland, as well as Great Britain, United States of America, all using this race as Olympic selection. And the athletes are going to race very much as individuals. They want to grab that slot for their country, and I think there'll be a lot of hard work at the front today.
Serpentine itself, 28 acres. Maximum depth 40 feet, around 12 metres. It's only the eastern half of the lake, which is known as the Serpentine. The other part, which stretches out into Kensington Gardens, is known as the Long Water. So, approaching the end of stage 1, a 1.5k swim. Let me remind you, it's followed by 40 kilometres on 2 wheels around the park and around the streets in and out of Constitution Hill and the Buckingham Palace area. And then they'll return, 7 laps incidentally on the bike, and then they'll return for 4 laps on foot, 4 times 2.5Ks on foot. The run section all within the park. Just over 130 metres still to swim.
Very tight at the front. The athletes' minds already focused now on transition. If anything, an acceleration there. They're looking to get clean space as they run towards the bikes. A minute, maybe a minute and just a few seconds to go now, going through that sighting buoy as they come through. Heads will be going up now, the right turn round, looking to go in. We're seeing a gap already, as Matt said, as you said, Matt, around 25, maybe 30 swimmers, possibly a few more than that, but working hard. It's on. It's a full-on race here today. I think it's going to be absolutely head-to-head, really putting the pressure down right from the start. And if a break tries to go, I'm sure there'll be a cover and there'll be break after break after break.
Now thoughts turn to transition to make it as smooth and as clean and as quick as possible. Clean water out in front. There's the target. Those two blue pontoons on the right and the blue carpet with the steps. 17 minutes 55 now as they approach the steps. The exit coming fast. We'll get a check on the clock, hopefully, as to who's involved with their timing chips attached. Everything should be registered on the computer as they pass. It's Gomez out first, followed by Frodeno, then Elvery of New Zealand, Balobra of France. Mike Petzold is next. Alistair, the first of the brothers, followed by Davy House, then Aurélien Raphael, Fabian, then Jonathan Brownlees. Both the Brownlees out in the top 10 as they sprint towards transition. Will join Richard and Sonali.
So the Brownlees just coming up to their transition spots, coming out, I think, 6th in a couple of spots.
6th and 7th, they look like, something like that. They've zipped through transition very quickly.
Very
It looked to me in the swim like there was a bit of chess being played. They were happy to be where they were, in the front area of the swim, but the race is really starting now. They want to make that front pack and then consolidate or attack, one of the two, and you can never tell with these Brownlee brothers. They've got plans that no one can think of, and anything could happen.
So you weren't that impressed with their swim?
Well, it looked like the whole group wasn't really committing to the swim. They were certainly going fast. I mean, they were near 17:50 out the water. That's not slow swimming. But at the same time, I don't think anyone's really committing. There's a lot at stake on this race, and I think that's why we've yet to see the fireworks begin.
Thanks, Richard. Matt and Steve, it's all yours again.
They're going over the Serpentine Bridge now. A group of about a dozen with some stragglers behind, a further 8 or 9. We'll expect that to form into one leading group of around 20, 25. There were a lot of races, almost everybody, in fact, within 30 seconds or so of each other. And now the cat and mouse begins on the section that takes them along West Carriage Drive and out towards Hyde Park Corner, where they'll exit the park for the first time, out into the streets of London, under the Wellington Arch, down Constitution Hill, as we pick up one or two of the stragglers coming through. And the last bike is just being collected now. And the last bike is owned by Jonathan Zipf of Germany. He's on his way, the last man out of transition.
Well, also picking up there with Chris McCormack just coming out there, Matt, in front of Zip coming through. A feedback on the Brits, but Alistair and Jonathan way up there on the swim. Will Clark placed well. Stuart Hayes did extremely well. Stuart raced last week, coming back just 7 days later. And Tim Don just 24 seconds down. Tim's so aggressive on the bike, so aggressive in transition, that I think he's going to be working very hard at the moment. Alistair Brownlee heads it up, and we've got Gomez following and just looking and shepherding him straight away on the bike. Alistair looks behind. Along comes Johnny with Alistair says, come on then, let's get up there. Let's see if we can make this on it straight from the front. And I think we can look into do that. We have Brownlee and Brownlee, Great Britain and Great Britain going 1 and 2. Gomez following through, trying to shadow every move. Now, I think that's Chris Gemmell from New Zealand, who had a tremendous swim there in the All Black. I think that's just shadowing through. Chris will be looking to make the Olympic Games from New Zealand there. He's been around again for a long time, one of the veterans of the scene. But it's that Olympic Games that really focuses the mind, and we get them back to it. Let's just have a quick check on that. I called Chris, maybe wrong. James Elvery, in fact. James Elvery coming through. But a lot of the work's being done very early by the two Brownlee brothers.
Yeah, Jonathan is the younger one. Jonathan wearing number 8. Alistair the older at a couple of years older. This was the exit. Gomez first there. He gets credited with having the quickest swim, just nipping past Jan Frodeno on the way out of the water. And there he is, the Olympic champion, coming into transition and making the change. Helmet on. This is how it's done. Gomez, number 1, the Spaniard, Swiss-born, left Switzerland at the age of 3, born to Spanish parents, one of the top triathletes of the last 10 years. And it's Gomez, Frodeno, Elvery, Balobra, Petzold, Alistair Brownlee, the top 6 coming out of the water. These are the official timings, although separated by just 4 or 5 seconds, with Jonathan Brownlee officially rounding out the top 10. That graphic takes us all the way down to 16, and they're well on their way. Now they cut across that roundabout, which you normally drive past if you're making your way through this part of London, and they'll go under Wellington Arch, also known as Constitution Arch or Green Park Arch. That was its original name. Both Wellington Arch and Marble Arch to the north of the Park were planned in 1825 by George IV to commemorate Britain's victories in the Napoleonic Wars, and the Wellington Arch, as it's now called, named after Arthur Wellesley, the first Duke of Wellington, the Premier Duke of Wellington, who commanded the Allied army when they defeated Napoleon at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815.
Well, Matt, we've got a real race on here. We've got a group about 18, 19, 20 who have managed to get away from the chasers, and we can just see that they're working together as a team. They're coming to the front. It's 20, 25 pedal revolutions. A move over to the left, no slowing down whatsoever. Alistair has a quick word with Johnny, says, come on, let's keep pushing this. We want to try and get away. Not a huge gap at the moment. 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 seconds is only there, but it could be significant if we keep the workers going at the front. And that's what it looks to be doing at the moment. We saw the group get away with the women yesterday. There wasn't any closure at all, really, until the last lap. And it looks as if the men have decided that's not the way this race is going to go, and they're going to be working from the front right the way through from early times on.
In that first group, and a similar number in the chase pack. They're being led by the motorcycle in the bottom centre of your screen as they come down towards the Victoria Memorial in front of Buckingham Palace.
Well, I think one of the things that we can see, we know that they're going at speed when we almost have this single lining. So just following the wheel in front, rather than getting a very, very wide spread with the group just bunching up as the speed slows down.
James Elvery, number 37, is the man leading them through. In second place at the moment, 8 is Jonathan Brownlee. Alistair Brownlee, number 7, is right behind him. 25 is Aurélien Raphael of France, who was one of the top swimmers. We're just keeping an eye out for number 2, which is Will Clark. 19 is Alessandro Fabienne of Italy. He's up there as well. 5, Alexander Brudkankov of Russia. And number 7, Alistair Brownlee, just watching Brudkankov as he comes out of the saddle. There is a modicum of a climb here as they regroup on Constitution Hill, but it's barely noticeable. Brudkankov out of the saddle as they head up back towards Wellington Arch.
Well, we've got a better idea perhaps of seeing that distance between the first and the second pack. Gavin Noble from Ireland in there as well, Vidal of France. Doesn't seem a significant. We could get that closing through, but if the athletes keep working at the front as they have done so far, then it is going to be difficult to catch. We say so many times that it seems to be the significant time is around second. Brickenhoff, who's had a tremendous race at Kitzbühel earlier on, putting himself on the line there. Now, Alistair and Jonathan keep looking over each other. There's just a few words passing, so I guess they will have gone through what their plans are on the race earlier on. If they can work together, maybe just getting the assistance of some of the other athletes here. Never to forget that they're looking for Olympic selection for their countries for next year. Big race, of course, over the Olympic course. And the hammer really down and working in pack number 1. Are pack number 2 going to catch them up? We don't know.
Leading group back into the park now. And already taking fuel. Frodeno just glancing over at Johnny Brownlee. They'll go under the trees and circle the park. 7 laps in total on the bike, bringing the 40-kilometre distance up, and then 4 laps on foot, 4 times 2.5 Ks. And a big, exciting group with lots and nearly all of the big names. The one athlete that I worry might be missing at this stage is Will Clark from Great Britain. But is he in this second group? 17 coming through is Laurent Vidal of France leading the chasers. They look like they're just a few seconds away from joining that lead group. They're closing the gap quite quickly. The numbers in the main peloton might double quite shortly.
Well, I've got that time gap as around 10 to 12 seconds, Matt. So still a lot of distance to cover up. There seems to be an awful lot of talking going on in that front pack, not just from the guys taking their turn at the front, but equally the other athletes coming through. A lot of talking at the back. Now that's interesting. With 27 minutes with the women's race, the elapsed time was 29 minutes after lap 1 of the bike.
So here they come for the first time. It's Fred Bellobre of France, followed by Fabienne of Italy, then the Brownlee boys, Alistair, Jonathan, Aurélien Raphael is 5th, then Royal, Chris Gemmell, James Elvery and Kyle Jones, the Canadian. Gomez is right there, Luis of France, Frodeno, the Olympic champion, House of France, Petzold of Germany. Will Clark is there. He's 2 seconds off the pace. We haven't seen him But the good news is that Will Clark is in the leading group. We'll keep an eye on where Tim Don is now. Simon Whitfield has come through, Olympic champion in 2000. We're still waiting for any sign of Tim Don. The good news is that Brownlee, Alistair, Brownlee, Jonathan and Will Clark are all in the leading group.
So we need to be looking at Stuart Hayes for Great Britain, who we thought was in that leading group, didn't we? Maybe just getting our information, just cutting out before we had the full pack through there. But as you say, Matt, the man who doesn't appear to be there at the moment is Tim Don.
Now that's the difference. That won't take long. We saw a gap of a minute in the women's race close down and the two packs eventually came together. The gap is just a handful of seconds here, and there's no real pace, no urgent pace at the front of the field, so it won't be long before the two packs become one, as Johnny Brownlee takes his turn at the front of the field, and it's raining again.
Well, those packs are closing right the way through. Now, big effort there on the first lap. Then there's that backing off. Maybe just 2 or 3 people doing the majority of the work at the front, thinking, I'm not prepared to do that if that's going to let everybody else in with a chance of the run. So with just that slowing of the pace, the two lead packs combining now, we've got perhaps 45 athletes there, all vying to get a good position. Very early days, of course, on the bike ride, but looking to get a good position going into the third discipline on the run.
Alistair Brownlee, 23 years of age, educated at Bradford Grammar School, and then he gained a place at Cambridge to study medicine, but decided to give that up and attend University of Leeds, where he gained a psychology and sport degree in 2009 to focus on his vocation, which is triathlon. 12th in Beijing after he put in a big effort during the bike, maybe spent too much energy, but he was young then, and the 2009 World Championship Series winner, taking victories in Madrid, Washington, Kitzbühel, London in Hyde Park and the Gold Coast. The brollies are up, but the spirits are not dampened yet, because at the front of the field there are Union flags worn by Alistair and Johnny Brownlee, who lead the way here in Hyde Park. There's Johnny, the younger of the two, he's 21, also educated at Bradford Grammar, studying history at Leeds University, won the Sprint World Championships in Lausanne last year. That's coming up again in a couple of weeks' time. That'll be on the BBC, watch out for that. He also won the Under-23 World Championships Grand Final in Budapest last September. What a talented pair of brothers they are.
Well, we're not getting the big move, are we? We've got one off of the front, looking behind. Nobody seems to be willing to go out and attack at the moment. So just that full back in speed, get the bike back together. Maybe a little bit of slowing down because of the weather conditions, Matt. I mean, it's most unpleasant for spectators, very, very unpleasant indeed for the cyclists out there. If they've got their sunglasses on, if they're wearing their shades, and they're going to just get the drops of rain on them. If they're not wearing shades, then even worse, just going to get the wind and the rain coming directly into their eyes. So making it pretty tough out there on the bike, making the general group psychology, if you like, thinking of, well, let's just get through this. We don't want to take any chance of having crashes, putting ourselves out of contention, and feeling maybe that little bit of confidence, I can do that on the run.
They go under Wellington Arch for the second time with the statue on top, which is known as a quadriga. It's a chariot drawn by 4 horses, not 3 as I said yesterday. It's a relatively new addition to the arch. It's a bronze from 1912. It symbolises the Angel of Peace descending on the Chariot of War, and apparently, I'm led to believe, it's the largest bronze sculpture in Europe. Now they're going down Constitution Hill for the second time, heading towards the palace. Time to ditch the sunglasses, they're getting wet. In fact, they're trying to keep them dry wherever possible, but the rain is coming and going. It was quite intense 2 minutes ago, but it's eased off slightly now.
Well, that's Stuart Hayes we saw there, just adjusting his glasses. So good news for the Brits. So we have seen Stuart in there. We thought he was in that lead pack. We were just waiting for confirmation coming through. We can confirm that now. Still no news on Tim Don, but as we saw the two packs joining together, certainly Tim would have been in that second pack, no further back. So we can hope that we have the 5 British athletes all there and all challenging. We haven't seen Alistair or Johnny come more than one position away from in front of the back. So they're covering absolutely everything. I think the confidence between the two brothers must be so high at the moment that just about every race they're going into, unless something untoward happens, they're getting first and second, second and first and second, again and again and again. A stretch out, Chris Gemmell we called earlier on. Is this Chris Gemmell who's gone from the front? See if anybody's going to be willing to go with him.
I think it's James Elvery, his teammate 37, another New Zealander. I love London. It's the sign on that umbrella. Well, it does make a fantastic backdrop for a sporting event such as this. 31.8 kilometres to go on the bike. They're well into their second lap of 7 now, and 37 has been joined by 7. 37 is Chris Elvery. Is James Elvery. He's made a little bit of a break, and he's been joined by Alistair Brownlee alongside, and these two are putting some pace into the race at the front of the field.
It looks to be significant because Alistair's looking behind. He's worrying about is there going to be a chasing element come through. He's worried about if Jonathan's going to chase, but we can see how hard it's working because James Elvery having to get out of the saddle just to stay there, get a little bit of impetus, goes to the front, doing his little bit of work now. Are we going to be seeing a 2-up, or will there be a reaction from the first group? Second group closing very, very quickly.
You can see how damp it is now with the rain getting onto our camera lens. That's at the back of the leading group, which is huge now, numbering approaching 50 racers. Elvery, closely shadowed by Alistair Brownlee, who's about to be joined by Alexander Brukhankov of Russia. The Russian has made it 3 at the front, and these are watching them go off into the distance. Will they respond, and when?
Well, so we do have a group of 3 going away. Now, interesting that Alistair Brownlee has gone away. Jonathan Brownlee hasn't so far attempted to bridge that gap. And now you do start wondering, we talk about the team tactics in triathlon, you do start wondering, has there been the message gone out, well, if one of us gets away, maybe the other one we just hold back and we wait and see. You've got to think, of course, though, the British criteria for selection for the Olympic Games to put yourself in contention is getting on the podium here, and the other race that's significant is Beijing. So if Jonathan chooses not to try and cover the lead breakaway, then maybe he's putting his place just a little bit of risk. It does seem to, we've got space there, certainly, and with the big man, with Brukhankov up there and working hard at the front, we do seem to have a bit of time now between those 3 and between the big pack.
I make it about 10 seconds. That's the early gap. And there's Tim Don. He's now in 4th position, leading the chasers through. Tim, not the best swimmer, so he'll always take a little bit of time to get involved in the bike, but he will now be encouraging. He's very vocal, isn't he, Tim, out on the bike as we see the sun come out and light up Hyde Park. Tim Don always shouting, encouraging his competitors around him to take their turn, to put in the work, and he will be saying to them now, we can't afford to let this trio, Brownlee, Brukhankov and Elvery, get too far away. Tim Don will be controlling things in the chasing pack.
Well, Tim Don is such a good athlete as a one-off race. He's not too happy in cold conditions at the moment. We've seen that already this year. And I think with the wealth of experience of training in his legs, you know, maybe to go through a whole series is a little bit more difficult. But in a one-off, he's putting himself on the line, Matt.
5 laps to go with a threatening dark cloud in the background. Will that come and dump significant rainfall on this course, which should really liven up this already enjoyable bike section? The main pack coming through, encouraged by the crowds who have come out in their tens of thousands to watch this today. Brukhankov, the first man through. We're going to check on all the other names making up this large chasing group. There's the trio leading the way, Brukhankov, Elvery, and between them, sandwiched between them, Alistair Brownlee of Great Britain.
Well, the gap up to 14 seconds coming into this 3rd lap. That's not going to be an easy one to break without a concerted effort from the chasers working through there. I guess a little bit of disquiet in the pack, a little bit of uncertainty with that rain starting through. We saw everybody adjusting their sunglasses. That's going to cause the speed to just back off just that little bit. So with the bravery of the three getting away, that's made a difference. You take your chances, and if it works, you've got a significant gap. You can build on that going into the run.
It was Charles I who changed the nature of Hyde Park completely when he opened it to the public in 1637. And in 1665, thousands of Londoners fled the city and camped out in the park in the hope of escaping the Great Plague. A little bit of history for you there, and a different sort of event going on here today for the thousands of Londoners who have come to watch this in anticipation of the Olympic triathlon, the 4th Olympic triathlon, to take place on August the 7th, 2012, with the women's event 3 days earlier on August the 5th.
Well, there's that constant checking and checking and checking. Watching Alistair Brownlee there, looking behind. Two things I'm sure going through his mind. Is my brother Jonathan there? And are they making any inroads onto the lead that we've established? It's a good working group, isn't it, Matt? Again, Rukankov just sitting at the back now. He did so much work when he came into that lead pack. Really put his hammer down. He's a big, big, strong man. I'm not sure if he'll be able to carry that into the run, but they're working so well together. This is... I state my position. I love to see this. I love to see the athletes getting off the front and working hard on the middle discipline.
Brownlee eases away to his right and lets Rukankov come through. Rukankov, you can see his legs work. He's really moving along now, hoping to widen that gap, which last time we looked was around 14 seconds. And between them, it's the Kiwi, number 37, James Elvery. He's the sandwich. He's the meat in the sandwich at the moment. These three have really widened the gap, and there will be some concern in the chasing group that it doesn't grow too large to counter.
Well, I think I read that right. 17 seconds the gap on that. I'm just watching Alistair's cadence, just a turnaround on the pedals, and he seems to have opted for a slightly smaller gear than the Russian and the Kiwi there, and if he has done, if he can maintain his position, that's going to make his legs feel that little bit fresher going into the run. He's not really just choose that big gear, which is going to take a lot of the impact, but just going down a little bit, turning over that much faster, and he's going to be in a nice position if they can maintain this breakaway.
There's the massive chasing group. Almost all of the remaining 67 starters, bar 3 or 4 in that group, with the trio out in front. And there's a concerted effort, I think, from one of the Australians now. Could that be Karlefelt in the green and gold at the front? Might be Brad Karlefelt, who was the winner in Hamburg at the last ITU World Championship Series event. He's trying to bridge that gap under Wellington Arch and down onto Constitution Hill. He's trying to make an attempt on this lead, held by these three who are already going down Constitution Hill, which was the site of 3 unsuccessful assassination attempts against Queen Victoria during her reign. Former Conservative Prime Minister Sir Robert Peel wasn't quite as lucky. He was thrown from his horse. He succeeded the Duke of Wellington as Prime Minister. He was thrown from his horse on Constitution Hill and died 3 days later. There's Helen Jenkins, the winner of yesterday's race, enjoying the action from a comfortable position in the grandstand, seeing herself on the big screen, smiling broadly. Let's take a little break from commentary and have a word with Richard Stannard.
OK, I can see that Johnny Brownlee is actually trying to help Alistair Brownlee during this race. We've got Alistair off the front in that small pack of 3, and any time someone attacks from the second chase pack, the big chase pack attacking, Johnny Brownlee will sit on the wheel of the person who makes the attack and then make no effort to take a turn, which will put them off and eventually slow the pack down. So that Brownlee tactic of brothers working together is in full swing, but we can't see real evidence of it. It's hidden within the race itself.
Interesting, Richard Stannard's take on that. We'll see if the gap widens significantly. We did see one of the Australians going off the front to see if he, obviously getting fed up with Johnny Brownlee's tactics. Maybe he'd read it and maybe he's trying to counter it. But Alistair's making the most of this opportunity, and these three are working really well. Rukankov coming past, they're communicating effectively, they're chopping and changing with the hard work at the front, and taking time to refuel as they slipstream in behind. It's a good little trio, this.
It is a good little trio, and they've stayed away for a long time now. We had no significant breaks on the women. I just have a quick glimpse there of Tim Don, who's in mid-pack in the chasing pack. And that's got to be going on now for a lap and a half staying away. It's something they've committed now, and once they've made that commitment to fall back into the pack, they're going to be going into the run at a disadvantage. You very rarely see an effective break staying away. If they are caught, that's really shot their legs. So they have got to try to stay awake now. And as Richard said, and we called a little bit earlier, the team tactics beginning to come into play, the brotherly tactics beginning to come into play, with Johnny Brownlee just covering every single move. So if somebody was strong enough to get away, then he's going to be taken up as well, but certainly not giving any additional help to a lone breakaway trying to make through. He's not going to put himself in a position where he's going to bridge that group and take them back to the leaders here.
Well, the really heavy rain has stayed away for the moment. It's dried up again now, although there is a cloud above the Serpentine where our commentary position is located, which looks rather threatening. That's the gap between the leading three. See that from the helicopter. It was quite clear, and they're still working hard. And that looks like Johnny Brownlee again at the front of the field. Will Clark is 5 or 6 behind him. Tim Don isn't far behind. The Australian Carla Felt is in there. All sorts of very decent runners with good chances going into the final section now. There's a man between the leading three and the chasing group. Somebody is trying to bridge that gap.
Well, do you think that's Gomez, Matt, coming through? It's looked like the Spanish colours. Okay, Johnny Brown is looking back. They're all looking at him. They're all going, come on, let's get up there. And Johnny Brown is going, well, okay, you get up there. I'm more than happy to chase behind, but I'm not going to do the work and take you up to my brother who's away on that lead pack at all. So the big chase group, we've got one just in the middle, made a big effort, just gone by himself, but we still have those 3 leaders out there, including Alistair Brownlee of Great Britain.
It's Rana. It's not, you're right about the Spanish colours, Steve, but it's not Gomez. It's Rana, Ivan Rana, who's another former world champion, a man with an excellent pedigree. He's decided enough is enough. He wants to go and make the 3 into a 4 at the front of the field. And with almost just under 5 laps to go, 4 laps to go now, it's Brownlee first, Brukankov, Elvery, Rana. He's joined that leading trio, and others are making an effort to close the gap as well. So let's see how far it is. 11, 12, 14, 15, 16 seconds between them, with 4 laps to go, 17 seconds officially between the front 4 and the chasing pack, coming through transition again.
Well, it's a big lead, but it's not significant. We would have anticipated, with the work that looked to be going down at the front, that 17 seconds would have stretched on the 3rd lap, but that hasn't happened. So maybe coming towards a real critical part of the race now, if we have that commitment absolutely going down by the leaders, or do we have a different sort of commitment where the chase pack finally get themselves together, and they're going to have to ignore Jonathan Brownlee. Jonathan's going to be more than happy to sit in there. You've got the other Brits to make a decision, but again, we've got that huge spread out on the road on the width, and it looks as if nobody is going to commit. You can understand that mindset. Okay, there's a 4 away. If I'm looking for Olympic qualification for my country, then I'm going to rest my legs, and I'm going to be happy to try and run into 5th place and pick up selection there. There's so many crucial mind games going on. Every single race we see, Matt, there are always different things happening, and so that really is the absolute beauty of triathlon. Alistair looking up now, I'm sure he's just checking on the time to see what sort of lead they've got on the chasers.
James Elvery, Brukankov the Russian, Alistair Brownlee now joined by Ivan Rana, who's at the back of that group of 4. Elvery taking his turn at the front. Brukankov gets an energy bar of some kind down him, trying to maintain this pace. And then there's Rana, number 45, the Spaniard, former world champion, won in Cancun the title about 10 years ago, was it?
That's a long time. Rana has been so good, and you know, almost like the compatriot of Tim Don, that sort of age spread. But what a brave effort to come through. I think one other thing we need to talk about, Matt, and another factor to bring into play, is because the lead pack of now 4 are going so fast, even with the big group chasing through, they're going to be working hard as well. So it's great tactics by the front four working through, and if anybody thinks they're going to be resting their legs in the chase pack, then they need to really make sure that they don't get at the front at all, because they are going to be called on to do some work. It's a very, very fast section on the bike. It looks to be closing. Of course, the camera foreshortens for us.
We've got another breakaway group of 3 here. Let's try and name
Stuart Hayes in there, I think. I'm pretty sure that's Stuart Hayes on the 3rd man there.
Ryosuke Yamamoto of Japan is number 50. Stuart Hayes at the back of that group. And the guy with the long white arms...
Bruno Paes. That could be Bruno Paes.
He's covered up his arms, so I can't read his number, which is at the top of his shoulder there. I might get a look at the number on his helmet or on his bike. Is that Stuart Hayes or is that Will Clark?
Well, I'm going to call that for Stuart coming through. Stuart's been brave in the past on lone breaks on the bike. They haven't managed to get away. That was chopped and down immediately. Again, significantly, we want to find out what the gap is between the 4 leaders and this big chase pack.
So the 3 who attempted were quickly reeled in, and the 4 who did succeed in getting away now have a significant lead.
That has totally spread, hasn't it, Matt? That was 17 seconds the last official time check we had, and I would say that's way over 20 seconds now, 23, maybe 25 seconds. It's such a fast pace, it really hasn't slowed down at all at the front. And credit due to the athletes up there making it so hard for everybody else.
Everybody taking care on the damp surface now. The rain is back again. It's the 3rd burst of rain that we've had, and ponchos are up, and no need for sunglasses at the moment. Brolly's going up as well. I wonder how much longer the helicopter can fly, actually. If we get a real burst of rain, of precipitation from the cloud that's threatening at the moment, the helicopter might have to go and take cover somewhere. Back at the front of the field, Elvery tucks in behind Brownlee. Brukankov, I beg your pardon. Brownlee ahead of him with the great GBR, and he eases past Rana, who moves to the back. They don't spend long out in front. They're back in the park now. They don't spend long out in front, just 10, 15 seconds or so before they move out and let somebody else set the pace. The distance now between the leaders and the chase pack is 30 seconds. 30 seconds between the leading 4 and the chasers, and well, it's between 29 and 30 seconds. Doesn't look like it's shrinking at all at the moment. Out in the wet, difficult conditions out on the streets of London at the moment. So I'm being told that it's raining in the park, but not by the palace. So it's very localised, the weather. It's dry here, but it's certainly raining in the park at the moment, so I'm sure that will change as the race unwinds.
It's been a huge lap on the bike, hasn't it? That gap opening from 17 to almost double the distance now. And we're looking at those 4 athletes off the front there. Not particularly pleasant conditions with the water being flipped up from the wheel in front, but a lot more pleasant, it has to be said, than if you're sitting in the middle or if you're sitting at the back of the big chase pack, because then you're going to have the cold water coming all over your racing costume, going into your eyes. There's going to be that little bit of discomfort. So it's going to be a lot easier in sort of sheer physical weather conditions to be up at the front there, and that's maybe contributed just a little bit to opening the gap out from the 17 to the 30. Gavin Noble there is off the bike. Gavin Noble, who represented Ireland in the Commonwealth Games. Now we may have had a slight touching of wheels or a bit of a crash there, because other athletes look to be down as well.
We'll maybe get another look at that, see what happened. 2 men down. We'll assume there was a coming together. I think we're seeing again the aftermath of it from the helicopter. The Irish riders' race is done, I think. Just 2 men involved.
In Beijing, Gavin was hoping to still will be hoping to do game selection too.
And well, some assistance for Noble, the Irishman, but I think it's he'll attempt to get back on his bike and close the gap, but the damage may be irreparable.
That's tough on Gavin. He's a very strong athlete. He's done a lot of work. He's established himself as a real player on the ITU Cup and on the World Championship Series. But if we go back to the action at the front here, they're still looking behind. They're still working so hard. They say the bike section tremendous, and I guess mentally now they're thinking, well, if it's tough for us at the front, it's going to be a lot more difficult for those at the back. And once that gap is opened, again, we talk about the mental attitude, the mindset going through. There will be, almost unconsciously, a backing off of effort. Well, let's just wait till we get to transition and put all the work in on the bike now. And of course, that plays absolutely to the advantage of these 4 leaders. It's difficult out there, Matt. I'm just looking every single turn now. We said 112 turns, we think, on the bike course, and every single turn we just see the group of 4 just backing off slightly, moving away from each other. They're not taking any chance, any risk whatsoever that they're going to touch wheels and be brought down.
4 are ahead. The chasers are spreading. You can hear some brakes squeaking as they make that right turn in difficult conditions. It's certainly raining on the edge of the park. In transition where we are, it's dry at the moment. So the weather is moving around, and it's dry in places, wet in others. It's dry under those trees, certainly. It's Brownlee, followed by Brukhankov, the Russian, in second position at the moment. Alexander Brukhankov, 24 years of age, second in Kitzbühel last month, behind Alistair Brownlee, also second in Sydney last year.
So looking at the bike going through, of course there are the preems on the bikes. We saw Kerry Lang do so well in the women's race, taking a number of preems there.
So that's a bonus prize fund for finishing each lap first.
Absolutely. I think, you know, you maybe get some of the athletes thinking, well, if I'm not going to be in contention on the run, then I'll really put myself on there for the bike, and we're going to earn some money anyway from that. It's big, big work.
Here they come again, through transition, the leading quartet of riders. Let's get a check on the distance between the 4 men at the front and the chasers with 3 laps to go. It's already approaching 15 seconds. Brukhankov, Elvery, Rana and Brownlee, first, second, third and fourth through the blue carpeted transition area with a massive peloton of riders approaching now, a huge group. 26 seconds. 26 seconds officially the gap. We'll have another word now with Sonali, who's with Richard Stannard.
And we see them all coming through the Boston Run, 4th place in Hamburg. What a great performance for the young Germans.
There's the very big chase pack just going by there. What tactics are you seeing today, Richard?
Well, certainly the front pack working very well together. And with the road surface changing all the time with these clouds of rain, these sporadic...
Yes, it's not raining here, but we've seen so much rain on other parts of the course.
Far end of the course, you can see that rain. This end, it's dry. So that's going to suit those 4 out front. They're going to work very hard together. And we've got Ivan Rana was on the front as he came around this corner. Now, he took a year out just to cycle race, so he knows how to work in that small pack. And again, with the chase pack, we saw Johnny Brownlee, ever the bodyguard, if you like.
He really is a bodyguard, not letting anyone past him.
Absolutely, he's the bodyguard. He's helping his brother by simply not letting anything happen.
Matt and Steve, back to you.
No change at the front. The leading 4 still there. The chasing group trying to work out this puzzle. Lots of Australian green and gold going through, and the green of South Africa as well. Lots of talented runners in that group. We have seen huge gaps close down on the final section of top-level triathlons, but they've got work to do. We'll follow the front 4 from up above now. Again, they're changing as they swap around, taking their turn to lead, and it's Ivan Rana, who Richard mentioned, took a sabbatical to concentrate purely on bike racing, so he knows how to close the gap. He did so effectively. He moves aside. Elvery comes through, the Kiwi, wearing the black and white. Rana drops to the back. Between them, Brukhankov and Brownlee.
Well, if we're looking at the athletes in the chase pack looking to save their legs, thinking they can do it on the run, how are you going to outrun Alistair Brownlee by 30 seconds when he's proved on the World Cup Series how strong he is there? It's been Alistair and Jonathan, to a very, very large extent, Gomez going through as well. I'm very surprised that Javier Gomez is back in this pack, that he hasn't really made a move to go through. He's had 1 or 2 bad results this year, so not sure. We're not hearing anything about injury coming out of the Spanish camp at all, but again, you know, we're looking around. Are we going to chase now, guys? Are we going to make it very serious? Because we are way, way into the second half of the bike section. And if we don't make an impact now, if we don't try and close it now, and just as we say that, we've got to push off the front. Somebody's making an effort for it. And are we going to have anybody brave enough to go with him? Are we going to try and cut down this substantial lead now? It was around 30 seconds. It closed down to 25 seconds, but it seems to have just spread out again.
The leading four on their way back down towards the Palace again, under the Wellington Arch. The roads closed off and the traffic has been terrible as a result. All for a good cause, of course. Now here's the chasing group. We saw a half-hearted attempt by a couple of the riders to get away a moment or two ago. That's been snuffed out now.
I know we're not getting full time checks coming through, Matt, but just having the helicopter view of that looked to have stretched out to a lot more than 30 seconds, just judging on the previous lap going through.
Now we've got a lone rider here. Is that Gomez? No, this could be one of the Russians. I'm not sure. We'll get a check on who that is at the moment. Is that somebody trying to bridge the gap again to make the 4-5? Looks like it is. Somebody's having a go at working his way up towards the front of the field to join the front four. And I can tell you that it's Ruedi Wild from Switzerland. No, it's not. It's Ivan Vasiliev of Russia. It's 29, not 28. It's another Russian, Ivan Vasiliev, number 29, who's going it alone, moving away down Constitution Hill in an attempt to close the gap, and he's having a really good go here.
That's a brave man, Matt. He's gone by himself. I'm sure he's made that decision, obviously by himself, but nobody's gone along with him. We can totally understand why Jonathan Brownlee has chosen not to go, but why isn't anybody in that chase pack thinking, I've got to do this, I've got to put myself in contention, because the four at the front, the further they get away, it's going to be very, very difficult indeed to close down. We have a totally different race situation as to what we saw with the women, with the big slowdown in the front pack. It enabled everybody to get back. It enabled young Emma Jackson from Australia to get back and put herself in contention. But with really getting towards the end of that, that's not going to happen here today.
We've got a retirement here, Steve. Andreas Gigelmeier of Austria has clearly come a cropper somewhere out on the road. I don't know if it was wet that did for him. A problem with Gigelmeier's right arm, and he's just freewheeling slowly in to get some medical attention at transition. That's the end of Gigelmeier's race here, with 13.8 kilometres of the bike to go. We've got a leading group of four. We've got Vasiliev on his own trying to close the gap, and then we've got a group of 30 plus who are still fairly tightly bunched together, coming round the Victoria Memorial now. Vasiliev has just about halved the gap, so he's halfway to his target area of the front four.
Great effort, tremendous. Got to feel for Gigelmeier whenever anything goes wrong on the bike. It's coming down, and it's the collarbone or it's the wrist, and just holding there, it looks very much as if he's suffering from a broken wrist. So a tough call out there. Tough conditions, but you have to deal with it. We know what London's like in the summer. It's the summer now, 1 year on the Olympic Games. It may well be that the triathletes are going to be having to deal with these conditions. Same course, same scenario, same weather conditions. Brave men going away. They've made this commitment, and again, I keep saying you have to admire them, that it could so easy. So let's stay in the pack and we'll put it down to the running legs, but they've gone for it. They've really gone for it, and just really looking forward now to getting the next official time check. Not too far before we get into our final lap on the bike.
Alistair Brownlee leads the way. Alexander Brukankov is second. Elvery of New Zealand, number 37. James Elvery is third. Ivan Rania, former world champion, is fourth at the moment. These four working well together, and they've established a very handy lead. Certainly favours Alistair Brownlee. We know how good he is when he holds it together on the run. Rana's a good runner as well, but will that time away, when he focused just on cycling, will that affect his running capabilities? It looks good for a Brownlee goal to make it a golden double for the British team, following Helen Jenkins' victory in the park yesterday. But there's a long way to go, and a lot can happen.
A lot of work to do, of course, and a lot of work already done. And to say this, there's been no easing up on the pace of the front whatsoever. Just beginning to see that chase group stretching out now. Maybe something's happening there. I think we can't give this away entirely, because with 5 people off the front now, Olympic selection really up there for grabs for the other nations. But they've got to get into 8, 9, 10. We're looking at the USA top 9, France is the top 8, Switzerland is the top 10. If they're relying on making those positions, it's going to be so much harder with the 4 athletes plus 1 getting away. Alistair Brownlee looks behind now. He looks at McElroy, who's done so much work on this. I guess the real instigator of that to take through, and the brave performance by Ivan Rana to back that up. As you say, Matt, Rana is that little time away from the sport. 2 scenarios there. Are his legs going to be fresh coming back in, or has he lost that run fitness?
Through transition again. The leading 4. 1 hour, 2 minutes, 17 seconds. The gap already 12, 13, 14 seconds. Vasiliev should be the next man through. His time difference is around the mid-20s. He's on his own though, 24 exactly. He's done well, Vasiliev. Can he close the gap further in this next lap? 2 laps to go. Elvery, Brudkankov, Brownlee and Rana, and then Vasiliev. And the rest of them are 43 seconds behind. It's growing all the time. Surely now there'll be an effort from this huge group of riders to make inroads to the lead of the front 4. Has to come now or in the final lap, otherwise it'll be just too far. And Brownlee will surely be gifted a victory.
Well, I guess the big runners in that huge pack down, they're going to be thinking around, okay, well, maybe Alistair Brownlee is going to be out of sight, but we're not too sure about Ivan Rana. But do I fancy my chances against the big man, the big Russian? Do I fancy the chances against McElroy, who's done so much work on the back? So there's still certainly medals, there's still podium places up for grabs. And you've got to think maybe, well, Jonathan Brownlee's thinking, I am a strong runner, I proved that on the circuit already. Maybe I can really push my way back onto this. Still no letting up of the pace at the front. Still trying to put that time in it. It's gone out from that 15, 17 seconds initially to 3 times that now. We're maybe going to be seeing a minute coming in, and just the hesitation which is beginning to appear in the chase pack of not wanting to close down, taking a brave effort by Rana to come up, and now Vasiliev doing so much work by himself to try to bridge the gap.
Elvery leading, Rana, Brudkankov and Alistair Brownlee, the older of the Brownlee brothers. Brother Jonathan is in this huge group of riders with 2 laps to go. No change at the front. We've got the helicopter above, the motorcycle camera alongside, and this is the way it's been for the majority of the race since the 3 and then finally 4 went away. They've got a 3/4 of a minute lead over the chasing group. They've worked effectively together, sharing the workload evenly and fairly. No one's done more than anybody else. Vasiliev is hoping to join them, but he has the disadvantage of working alone, and obviously that's not going to help him being on his own. He's got no one to work off, no one to share the workload with.
No, it's going to be tough, and with the 4 at the front, there's an element of trust there. Once they've made the commitment to stay away, they are not going to allow anybody just to sit in there. They really wouldn't allow me to do that. So making that commitment is there, and importantly, it's the time element. What can I do? Can I back off? No, of course I can't. So I've got to stay with this. However hard it is, I've got to stay with it. And however much it may take it out of your legs going into the run, you've still got that, well, at the moment 43 seconds, but perhaps a little bit more of that as a cushion going in. And to try to close a minute gap on the run, well, there are 1 or 2 people we've seen in triathlon's history who are capable of doing it, but against such strong runners as Rana at his best, and certainly Alistair Brownlee, that is going to be exceedingly difficult to do.
They're out of the park, they're out of the safety of the park again, heading now once again under Constitution Arch or the Wellington Arch. The chasers behind, plenty of them have done pretty much nothing. Mike Petzold at the back there, Silva of Portugal, he's a good runner, and he's right at the back, taking the easy route at this stage. Slipstreaming in, drafting in behind the others, minimal work rate required, and hoping that the pace is solid enough at the front that when they come to transition for the second time, that he can move forward and maybe make a break on the run, but it's a bit of a gamble.
Well, I know we don't get a true impression, Matt, when we're comparing a small group of 4 and a huge group going through. But it looks as though there isn't that emphasis in the big group, doesn't it? I'm getting the pictures from the back there. People able to sit up, just to freewheel for a little, and then just with a minimum of effort, just re-establishing contact onto the wheel in front of them.
So they're at Hyde Park Corner for the penultimate time before they head past the memorial gates at the top of Constitution Hill, the memorial to the Commonwealth soldiers. And in that dome that you can see on the right there are inscribed the names of the Commonwealth soldiers who were awarded the Victoria Cross and the George Cross in the Great Wars. It was all unveiled by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth back in 2002. The memorial gates at the top of Constitution Hill. And there's the palace. Familiar to everybody now after the incredible scenes on April the 29th.
Well, this is just such a lovely position where we've seen before the riders crossing over, and now just as we say that we do, and that gap has gone out to even more now, hasn't it?
Yeah,
Sorry, Matt, it's going to just say it's going to be great back up to the 4 leading, knowing that their tactics have been proved totally right, and just by that work there, they're putting themselves in such good position going into the run.
There's the man who's made the break to try and join the leading 4. He might find that it's been a push too far for Ivan Vasiliev. All alone as he comes past the palace. Out in front, Rana of Spain, Rudkankov of the Russian Federation. Next up is Brownlee of Great Britain, and the man at the back is Elvery of New Zealand. Back towards the park again. And it's dry here. Come on, Ali, is the cry from one of the spectators on the behind the barriers there. Just to remind you, this will be a free-to-view event at the Olympics next year. August the 4th for the women, August the 7th for the men. If you haven't been lucky enough to get Olympic tickets, or even if you have, then do come along and take your position out on the streets.
Well, the leader's still working hard at the front. It's been such a good race with everybody taking their turn. A little bit of caution going into the corners. That's making sure that inside pedal is up, not taking any chances on the difficult conditions now.
Glance over the shoulder from Rudkankov as Alistair Brownlee takes his turn. Doesn't stay there for long. Elvery's next in line for the hard work at the front. Rana, the latest addition to this group. And Brownlee heads towards the back. Meanwhile, Vasiliev ploughing a lone furrow. Can he possibly reduce the gap? Last time we got a check, it was around 24 seconds between Vasiliev and the leaders. They're back alongside the Serpentine now.
Well, talking about that hard work at the front, Matt, with everybody working so hard. But of course, we're only working 1 in 4, so 20 pedal revolutions, something like that. Then we move over, and as we get to the back of the group, then the effort is 15, 20, even 30% less. So although the legs will be tired, they're not going to be as tired as they would be, for example, with Vasiliev just on the lone ride.
Nobody will sit down. Come on, stand up.
So the crowd starting to get behind the front 4 as they come through transition. Next time they come through, they'll be dropping off their bikes, picking up their running shoes and heading out of the park. The bell sounds. 1 lap to go on the bike for Rudkankov, Brownlee, Elvery and Rana, who have done some fantastic work leading this triathlon. And the gap is already 20 seconds, getting towards 30 seconds now. And I'm looking out of the commentary position. Still no sign of the chasing group. The crowd glancing off now. Vasiliev arrives. His cause, I think, is a lost cause. He was 24 seconds behind. He's now nearly 40 seconds behind. And the chasers are getting on for a minute behind now. Possibly more. So 42 seconds to Vasiliev. Stuart Hayes is 50, and then 8 seconds to Johnny Brownlee. It's nearly a minute. That's the gap that Alistair Brownlee and his fellow leaders have over the chasers. There are dark clouds above. There may well be some rain to come, but so far it's been a tactically astute race for this quartet.
It has been a tactically almost perfect race, Matt, hasn't it? That commitment, be brave early and go for it. This is what we have to do. We saw it yesterday with Helen Jenkins being brave enough to go very, very early on the run and establishing that gap and then building on it right the way through.
Just saw the Diana, Princess of Wales Memorial Fountain. Top left of your screen, we'll see more of the sights within the park itself during the 4 laps of the run. Got a few name checks here in the group. 33 has been Vincent Louis from France. 56 is Igor Polyansky of Russia.
I've got a quick sighting of Will Clark there as well, Matt, going through. But we've seen noticeably just that slowness going round on the bend, on the curves and the turns going through.
Now look at the rainfall in the background there. Kensington Palace just on the right of your screen. Is that coming our way? That part of London, which I guess is kind of Kensington, High Street Kensington, will be taking the brunt of that rainfall. Is that heading our way shortly?
Well, if that rain is coming through, far better for it to arrive when the athletes get out on the run rather than to have awful conditions on the bike discipline.
28 is Ruedi Wild of Switzerland. He's having a little turn at the front of the chasing group, trying to reduce the deficit. Could be that coaches have called out at transition. You need to work if you're going to have any chance coming to the 10K run. Others are responding. Another Swiss rider behind him.
Well, the Swiss looking to place in the top 10 to gain automatic Olympic Games selection for their country. So maybe that's the reason why we've got the Swiss athletes out there. Early days, of course. However, we are into the last lap and looking to get a clean space going into final transition.
Still very tightly bunched, and there are 10 or 12 at least who have not moved from the back of that pack. They've sat in there, taken the easy route, hoping that they can conserve their energy for the run to come. Under Wellington Arch again for the final time, down Constitution Hill for the last time towards the Palace, where they'll make the turn around the Victoria Memorial and climb back up once again for the last trip up Constitution Hill back into the park. The spectators will see these guys 5 more times, once at the end of this lap and then at the end of each of the 4 run laps, 4 times 2.5 Ks around the park. Ivan Reina, the Spaniard, former world champion, 45. He will be happy with the decision he took to make the break before it got too large. Vasiliev was too late in his pursuit of the leaders.
Well, Alistair Brownlee, just a quick shot there, still spinning very, very swiftly indeed on the bike, and a conscious decision, I'm sure, with the muscle memory there, not looking to get too technical at all, but if the legs are turning over a particular speed on the bike, then they will memorise that and be looking to get through to that on the run. And with Alistair's excellent running, he hits the ground around 180, 190 times every single minute on that, and that's pretty much what he's turning over at the moment on the bike, with 95, maybe as much as 100 as he goes through.
The arch used to form part of Hyde Park Corner, then it was moved into the what's now a roundabout, Wellington Arch or Constitution Arch. The leaders are way beyond that. They're already down at the Palace, and there's a bit of a breakaway by Elvery, although I'm sure it'll be swallowed up quite quickly by the other 3. Elvery the leader at the moment, past and round the Victoria Memorial. Can't see anyone on the Buckingham Palace balcony. I'm not sure if there's anybody paying attention to today's events on the streets of London. And now they get to eyeball the chasers. The chasers know how far these four men are ahead. Up the hill for the last time, up towards the park, the return to Hyde Park. And Brownlee has a word with Ivan Rana as he lets Brutkankov set the pace one more time.
Well, huge positives to be gained for the leading foursome as they go through that, knowing just how much their lead is, and I guess, you know, making them brave enough to be able to go for the run early on, because they know they have that big cushion there. Lots of good runners in the second pack, including Simon Whitfield, including
Javier Gomez, the world #1. Gomez is in that pack as well, and the brollies are going up thick and fast. The rain is falling heavier than it has all day now on Hyde Park. I don't think it's reached this section outside the park yet, but it will any second now. It was coming in from Kensington. It's now reached this corner of Hyde Park, and refuge being sought wherever possible.
Well, the seconds closing in. All be anticipating their transition. Just over a kilometre to go. Here we go with the entry, and mentally they'll be planning that through. They'll be looking down in a very short time, as we saw with the women's race, that the shoes will be untied, unclipped, the feet will be coming out, just laying the feet on top of the shoes. Pedals remain clipped into the bike, into the pedals, and then that swift transition. We'll be looking at that. I'm sure we're going to see the exit from transition. Absolutely. Oh, that weather really has just come, I say, at the right time. I'm sure the athletes will know exactly what we mean, so we're not having to put up with it on the bike. They'll be so pleased they've managed to get through almost at the end of the bike section before having to have these conditions underfoot.
So just under a kilometre to go, 39 down, 1 to go, just under 1 to go for this leading quartet of riders. They're coming into a downpour in this part of the park. It's really tipping it down now. Typical English summer weather. The riders at the end of each lap have come through transition. This time they'll stop just before transition. They'll come to the dismount line and they'll jog along alongside their bikes before hanging them up, dropping off their helmets, picking up their running shoes, so they'll they put their bare feet into their running shoes and then head out for 4 laps around the park. And in terms of timing, well, it couldn't have been better, because the rain is coming thick and fast now as they come into transition at the end of the bike course. Let's join Richard and Sonali.
Okay.
Richard, is Ali conserving his energy at the moment here?
Well, it looked like on the way in from Buckingham Palace, he certainly was sitting at the back of the pack trying to conserve his legs. He's now moved to the front of the pack in order to get the best transition possible. We're going to see him off the bike, running into transition in the lead. He's going to get his trainers on as fast as possible and get out on that run. This weather is going to suit him down to the ground. He's a Yorkshireman. He can handle this rain. Here he comes. We can see him. He's going to rack the bike, go for the trainers, and get out on that run. Come on, Alistair, that's what we want to see. Both Brutkankov and Alistair worked extremely hard in this breakaway.
How's that transition in terms of speed?
It wasn't exceptionally fast, but they have worked together, and so they're going to have tired legs. But look at the gap they've already put into Ivan Rana.
And we'll see Johnny coming in soon.
Johnny will come in.
He has also been conserving some energy so he can catch up his brother.
Again, Johnny has, but so have the rest of the Brits in that front pack. Apart from Stuart Hayes, he had a go, but we've seen nothing of Will Clark and nothing of Tim Dodd. They've sat there waiting for this run. Almost team tactic by Britain today. They haven't chased down their compatriot in Alistair. They've let him do his job. He's going to go off, hopefully, and get that gold.
And can Johnny do that with this gap?
Yes.
Back to you guys.
So the chasing pack are in. The rain is somewhere between heavy and torrential at the moment. And 1 minute and 13 seconds is the gap to the chasing group. And there could be some chaos here as they look for their positions in the transition area. Gomez is in, looks for his place, #1, easy for him to find as the world #1. Number 8 there is Johnny Brownlee. He's getting his shoes on, tries to chase down his brother now. Gomez's hat goes in the box. away they go, but it's a minute and a quarter that these guys have to find as they stream out of the blue carpeted transition area and go on the hunt of the leading four who left more than 60, 70 seconds ago. Huge group now. Time for the runners to do their stuff. There's Vasiliev, who unsuccessfully tried to close the gap. The runners are out crossing the Serpentine Bridge. They'll loop round. The spectators will see them on the far side of the lake if they can see through the rain, and they'll come past in front of them 3 times before the final lap, which takes them across the finishing line. And we'll try and get a catch up on what's going on. There's Brukhankov, the Russian. He is second or third at the moment. It's Alistair Brownlee. I recognise that running technique from Brownlee just in front. He's opened the gap. Brownlee leading the way. Brukhankov, we think, is second, and we think Rana and Elvery have been dropped. Now, we've seen Alistair slip and fall in a previous World Championship Series race this summer. He'll be aware of that and looking to keep his grip on the tarmac here.
Well, 2 races within a race now, isn't it, Matt? With Alistair going out, Brukhankov chasing hard, but doesn't have that much form as a runner compared to Alistair. But the second race within is just who's going to be coming out of the second pack and seeing if they can possibly get onto the podium. Alistair running confidently, of course. We knew he would. He chose his tactics absolutely ideally. And there's Brad Cartervelt in the green and gold of Great Britain, just behind Johnny Brownlee. My apologies there, Brad Cartervelt getting excited of Australia, the green and gold there. Cartervelt in tremendous form, a victory just a couple of weeks ago, but Johnny Brownlee along with Cartervelt as they chase through on the leading 4.
Warm, miserable conditions now. This is how Alistair came into transition. The rain is twice as heavy now as it was when he came in a couple of minutes ago. Hung up the bike, and the front wheel in the slot. His helmet came off. Actually, he struggled for a moment to unclip it. Gomez followed a minute and a quarter later. The world #1, David House of France, was just ahead of him. Gomez is a great runner, but can he close that gap of over a minute? The winner here a year ago. That gives you an idea of quite how hard the rain is falling. It's Brownlee, Brukhankov, Rana and Elvery officially separated by just a second as they came in after the 40 Ks of riding. Weren't they lucky that this rain held off until they reached transition for a second time? It'll ease off again. There are pockets of blue sky above, but that is no consolation at the moment to the athletes and the spectators. The helicopter, I'm happy to say, is staying airborne to give us these shots, and we'll hopefully be able to get our pictures from the front of the field. And at the front of the field, we think Brukhankov is second, and as far as we can tell, that's Alistair Brownlee. Now we can catch up with Brownlee at the front of the field. He's run 1.5 kilometres already, Alistair Brownlee, and as Richard Stannard said, he's an experienced runner in these conditions, a champion fell runner in his youth. He's from Yorkshire. This is the sort of weather they like in the West Riding of Yorkshire. He's a Leeds man, and these sort of conditions will suit him down to the ground, and he looks full of running at this stage.
Well, he's running away from Brukhankov. Brukhankov having a great performance, isn't he, here today? A big man for running, but these two seem to have got away. And with the second race developing behind, we called Cartervelt from Australia, we called Johnny Brownlee, both in great running form at the moment, as we saw with Cartervelt's victory 2 weeks ago. Johnny Brownlee shadowing his brother every time through. But Brukhankov here today, he's the shadower. First sight of Elvery going through, who, not sure in third or fourth, we called Ivan Rana in third place a little earlier. But Elvery, who did so much work on the bike, now we have the sighting of Rana. With Elvery behind.
Yeah, Rana's third at the moment, Elvery behind him. Rana's running, well, it took him to the World Championship title when it was a single race affair a few years ago in the heat of Cancun on the Caribbean coast of Mexico. Elvery struggling with this pace, and meanwhile, leading the pack is Johnny Brownlee. He's made a break, the others are watching him closely. Will Clark just going through there. Stuart Hayes was in amongst the leaders as well. And that was Sven Riederer of Switzerland going past. Johnny Brownlee leading the second group, the second platoon, and on his shoulder, the world number one, the champion here 12 months ago, Javier Gomez of Spain.
David House just sits on Javier's shoulder. Carterfeld still there in contention, and Stefan Justus from Germany also racing well. Vidal of France comes through, and then Olympic champion Jan Frodeno from Germany.
The rain has eased off slightly. The darkest cloud seems to have passed, so we'll expect some bright spells ahead. Everybody's got a soaking though. And there's our leader, Alistair Brownlee. The noise around Hyde Park as he comes through his first lap, coming through transition, is absolutely deafening. Incredible scenes here. They were treated to a British victory yesterday in the form of Helen Jenkins in the women's race. Can Brownlee make it a golden double for Great Britain?
Well, Carl Jones there is coming through, I guess, a lap down on that, just coming out of that's a long, long way behind. Alistair Brownlee has just moved away with Rana in third place and Elvery in fourth place there. What an established gap just on the first lap.
Brownlee, Brutkankov, Rana, Elvery, the front four now spread out along the course. Rana will be hoping to hold on to capitalise on his tactically smart move on the bike earlier when he bridged the gap to the leaders and maybe run himself into a podium place. He's a long way off the lead of Alistair Brownlee as the Spaniard comes through transition at the end of the first lap with the New Zealander James Elvery behind him, and Elvery is being hunted down by Jonathan Brownlee behind him. Elvery is going to be easy pickings here for Johnny Brownlee, who's with Gomez and House. Alistair leads. Gomez is a minute and a quarter behind. Carterfeld further 5 seconds back, along with Justus Vidal. Clark is just a second back. We'll try and get a check on the position of Tim Don and Stuart Hayes, the other British contenders, but they might just be too far off the pace to click in the computer timings here.
Well, just seeing Simon Whitfield going through from Canada. But what an indication, Matt, of just how differently the cycle section can take it out of the runner's legs. We saw Alistair Brownlee, it looks as if he hadn't even cycled at all. He's just out there. He moved away. Tremendous effort from Brutkankov holding in second place. But a real close down from that big pack. And I think the bronze medal certainly is up for grabs here today. And just possibly the silver. At the moment, Alistair Brownlee, he's free, he's running strongly. Brutkankov still looks very good indeed, and he said he's a big man for running. But I think that of the first and second, we could have a change in position there coming in for the bronze medal.
The other British competitor that we haven't mentioned is Adam Bowden. He's also a minute and a half or so off the pace. So he's going well today, Adam Bowden. 66 his number. We'll keep an eye on him and give you progress reports as and when you get them. He's very quiet on the bike, just tucked in there. There's a break from the chasers. Johnny Brownlee leading Javier Gomez, and Elvery has been passed, and House will be next to go past the New Zealander. All that good work that Elvery did on the bike is about to be wasted.
Well, with Adam Bowden there that you mentioned, Matt, of course, international steeplechaser for Great Britain. Went to the Commonwealth Games for England as well, so has tremendous running strength. And you'd think that even with the cycle section like that, you know, maybe it's a chance for Adam to make an impact here to come through.
Johnny Brownlee there, not leading this competition. It's his older brother, Alistair, who's in first position. He's way out in front. Johnny with Gomez trying to make a hole in the lead that Alistair and the other leaders, Brutkankov and Rana, have opened up. So it's Johnny Brownlee now. He's got sight of Ivan Rana ahead. So there's a chance for maybe 2 British competitors on the podium today. Alistair's out in front. There's our leader.
Well, that will be sensational, wouldn't it? If Jonathan Brownlee, with all the effect that he had on just to holding that group back, just refusing to do any work there, for him to be able to run through to a medal to join his brother on the podium really would be something very, very special indeed. We're looking at a tremendous athlete here. We really are looking, on current form, the #1 athlete in the world in triathlon. We've seen him, he goes out unless there's an accident, unless something untoward happens. Alistair and Johnny go through at the moment, Alistair taking it through. Lovely, lovely upright position there, very strong arm carriage, totally in command, totally in control of this race.
Coming in front of the Lido now, the Lanesbury Lido. Gomez on the left. Johnny Brownlee on the right. Gomez the winner here a year ago. Johnny Brownlee was second after the dramatic scenes when Alistair ran out of steam in the final lap and drifted home in a daze. Gomez and Brownlee taking it in turns to set the pace as they look ahead, where they can see now, I don't know if it's Brukankov or Rana who's next in the firing line.
Well, Rana was holding third, the last information we had. I wonder if it is Rana, if it's a lapped runner gone through there, somebody who maybe got just dislodged from the bike pack. I wouldn't think so. I think that's Rana, and he's most definitely within their sights for that third place.
The rain continuing to fall. It's no longer torrential, it's just summer heavy here in Hyde Park. Happily, the helicopter is staying airborne, bringing us these hazy, damp pictures from above. But the race itself has been absolutely sensational. And we can just catch sight of Gomez and Johnny Brownlee on the right there in their hunt for the next best. And with the second lap about to conclude for Alistair Brownlee, he is in a sensational position here. Johnny Brownlee, his younger brother, taking the turn. It's Ivan Rana, their next target. So Rana is passed by Brownlee and then by his teammate Javier Gomez. Rana makes no effort to stay with them at this stage. I don't think he's got anything left to offer. He'll just have to watch as they go away from him. Well, he's just holding his position at the moment, but surely not for much longer.
Well, I have to say, I think Ivan Rana chose exactly the right tactics for him. He knew he's not in great running form, so he made that break on the bike. Hopefully he's going to get a respectable position. He may be looking at going to the Olympic Games to Spain. But we've really seen what triathlon is all about here. The braveness going off in the lead pack, those who are confident enough to stay back and to try to work their way through. So we're seeing already just on 5 kilometres of running, over a minute gap plays from the huge gap coming into bronze medal position. Are we going to see just that further breakdown? Brukankov holding second at the moment. I think Alistair Brownlee must be safe and home in gold medal position at the moment. But the way that these chases are running, Johnny Brownlee and Gomez, they could be honing in on the silver medal position.
Rain's getting heavier again. And the noise builds in the grandstands as Alistair's already through. Join him again now at the front of the field with 1 hour, 34 minutes and 25 seconds having passed. And here he comes again, onto the blue carpet. Welcomed home already like a hero, but he's still got half his run to complete. 5 kilometres down, 5 to go for Alistair Brownlee of Great Britain.
Absolutely tremendous running, still maintaining that form. Can't be easy out there. Brukankov just 19 seconds down. He is having the race of his life here to do this.
Oh, it's painful to watch. Brukankov really struggling here. Had that sensational second place in Kitzbühel, but he's running through the storm, trying to keep his hopes alive, aware that there's danger from behind as Johnny Brownlee and Javier Gomez make their challenge on his second position. And here they come through the drizzle.
Well, you would think that they need to be within 35, maybe at a real stretch 40 seconds, and that's just coming away from that now. So Brukankov still with a significant time gap between him and his chasers. It's going to take something very special or a real slow time of Brukankov to relinquish that silver medal position.
Well, Brukankov didn't look like he was going to go much faster, did he? And Gomez kicks past Johnny Brownlee for the advantage, the minimal advantage as they come through the transition area with 2 laps to go.
Well, it looks like the real medal hunt is going to be on for that bronze, doesn't it? With Brukhankov maintaining that position just around a minute in front of his chasers, and of course Alistair Brownlee some 19-20 seconds in front of Brukhankov, as you say, with probably around 4 kilometres only to run now.
Rana's going backwards. Brukhankov, we're watching from the helicopter now with the white cap and the look of agony on his face, the Russian. There's our leader, Alistair Brownlee. 4.32 kilometres to race for the British #1. Surely there'll be no repeat of his running out of steam in dramatic fashion a year ago. Surely the conditions, it's much cooler and damper this time. Surely he'll be able to maintain this advantage. He passes Brukhankov going in the other direction. Brukhankov is digging deep here, really working hard to keep up this pace.
I think Brukhankov has been a brave, brave man. He did so much work on the bike as he's chased Alistair Brownlee going through. He's only dropped 20 seconds on 2 laps, and he's maintained a gap of just around 1 minute over the guys who are trying to take away his silver medal. That's what he'll be thinking of it now, and he's going to be thinking, have I done enough to impress the Russian selectors? We don't have any information from Russia about how they're choosing their Olympic teams, but with the season that Brukhankov has had so far, and then to be running as well as he is on the Olympic course, he's got to put himself well into #1 contention for Russia.
Brownlee's having a go at Gomez, trying to open the gap. He can sense third position coming his way. Could be a battle between these two for third, possibly second, if Brukhankov runs out of steam. But it's been a while since Brukhankov went round that hairpin. With only 2 laps to go, the Russian might just hold on for second, and we could have a sprint finish between Johnny Brownlee and Gomez for third. David House goes past, Vidal and Eustace. Then comes Carterfelt, the Australian, Frodeno, the Olympic champion. Will Clark is coming round this hairpin now. Mike Petzold for Germany, and the early leader, certainly out on the bike, Ivan Rana, still going backwards. And the others are fighting potentially for the minor positions and within their individual Olympic federations, potentially for Olympic selection as well.
Well, David House back there in 5th place at the moment still looked quite strong, and there was only around a 10-second gap between him chasing behind Gomez and Johnny Brownlee. So David House still in with a little bit of a chance, I think. And now we're seeing Johnny Brownlee getting away from Gomez. First time we've seen really a significant gap coming through there, but quite early days yet. Still for these two runners around 3.5 kilometres to go, and they'll be looking to establish that, but also aware that David House is not that far behind.
Brownlee's made an impact. Gomez is struggling to respond. Johnny Brownlee would prefer these conditions to the Spaniard, of course. It's much more what he's used to, training and racing in West Yorkshire. Gomez is trying to respond, but Johnny Brownlee has got plenty more to offer here, and he's widening the gap ever so slowly and very slightly, but it might just prove to be significant.
I think every time there's a twist and a turn, we just see that slight kick, almost as if Johnny's thinking, right, just another half second, another half second, another half second. But this man, Alistair Brownlee, just no change in pace at all, smooth as they come, going round the bends. Doesn't seem to matter to him whether he's racing in bright sunshine or racing in these very wet, unpleasant conditions here at the moment. Used to whatever the weather throws at him, content to think I have to be the best triathlete in the world. Let's just prove that here today on the Olympic course.
So he's back on the north side of the Serpentine, so he'll be coming in towards the transition area to take the bell any second now. Alistair Brownlee come past the hordes of umbrellas and supporters. They're giving him lots to get excited about. And some have turned up without brollies or raincoats, but it doesn't matter. Once you get to a certain stage, you can't get any wetter, can you? Helicopter's still flying, I'm happy to say, as Alistair leads the way, and Johnny, his younger brother, tries to widen the gap between himself and the world #1 Javier Gomez, and it has got a little bigger, that break between third and fourth. Between them all is the brave Russian, Alexander Brukhankov, number 5, who's still holding on to second position, staring through the drizzle. Here's our leader.
Well, not long, I'd say 45 seconds, maybe around a minute or so before we see, the leaders coming through. And of course, this is Johnny Brownlee just moving away from Gomez in the 3rd place at the moment. It'd be very, very interesting to see what that time gap is. There's David House just coming into view, so he's made not a great impact on, but must still feel that he has a chance to take possibly bronze.
Widening slightly. Back with our leader, who closes his eyes in an attempt to clear his vision of the raindrops, which must be obscuring his view ahead. Brukhankov is still holding on and digging deep. He's having the run of his life, the Russian. Onto the blue carpet. He'll be warmly welcomed with 1 lap to go. Alistair Brownlee into transition. Next time he comes through, he'll do a little shimmy to the right and head for the finishing line. He's got 2.5 kilometres to run in the Hyde Park Triathlon for 2011. Brukhankov somehow is keeping his hope for second place and the silver medal alive.
Well, he's done well. He was 19 seconds down with 2 laps to go. He's only dropped another 8 seconds on that, and that is just absolute guts, pure determination. He's refusing to give in. There's all sorts of agony there, but he's not going to give it second best. Big chances for the chase pack, but it's going to be a huge effort now to see if they can close what was a minute's gap and will have closed down to, I think, around 50-55 seconds.
Back with Jonathan Brownlee now, currently in 3rd position in his own right. He's leaving Gomez. Well, he's leaving Gomez with an opportunity because the gap hasn't widened too much. And Johnny will hope that he's timed his kick away from the Spaniard well and that he can leave Gomez at a safe distance. 5 seconds between them at this stage. The second of the Brownlee brothers roared through transition. The crowd happy to see that he's opened up a decent lead over Gomez.
Well, just 40 seconds, just over 40 seconds to close on Brukhankov for Johnny Brownlee. It's a tough pull, but the way Brukhankov was running, he looked so tired. I'd say he's just hanging on just by pure inner strength at the moment. So there must be a chance of Johnny Brownlee taking that bronze, although I imagine you would guess against it at the moment. David House, he made that brave head. He seems to have just fallen back a little bit there, perhaps too much too soon, whereas Alistair Brownlee can't do enough and he can't go soon enough at the moment. He's almost home. He's into the last 6-7 minutes of running, and he is just going to be acknowledged by this huge crowd here. He really is.
1.8 kilometres to go, round the hairpin for the last time for Alistair Brownlee. He'll see Brukhankov coming the other way. In a moment or two, he'll see his younger brother Johnny in the chase as well, as the athletes coming through transition see the 1 lap sign, and it's brightening up. They could well be welcomed back, the leading contenders here, in a little bit of sunshine. That would be nice after the unpleasant weather of the last hour or so. Brukhankov round the hairpin.
Can't speak highly enough of him, mate. He's just working. You look at his face and you think, how can you hold on, because you are obviously suffering so much. And yeah, the strides pitch hasn't shortened, the cadence hasn't gone down at all. He's still putting himself on the line. He's still driving with that upper body. He is refusing to give in. He absolutely is. He wants that medal, he really does.
Back with our leader, number 7 today, number 7 in the world standings at the moment, but he's been selective with the races in which he's competed this year, this one being his main focus, of course, his home World Championship Series race in London, where he dramatically drifted across the line in a state of semi-consciousness a year ago. This time, no such problems, fingers crossed for Alistair Brownlee. He's maintaining his pace. The weather is drying up for his grand finale and his run to potential victory in Hyde Park. The others are still battling for the minor places, but none of them today so far able to match Alistair Brownlee, who has been in a class of his own.
was up there on the swim, wasn't he? Top 10 on the swim, but not featuring the front line. As soon as they got out on the bike, there was a break. He was there, he was holding it through, and he's maintained that on the run. He's got around 4 minutes of running left, if that, and he knows now that he's probably remembering back exactly what happened last year and thinking, that's not going to happen to me again. I'm just going to show that was a one-off, that was just an aberration from what I can do, and I'm running there. He's moved away now from Brukhankov there. We saw that happening there. I have to say, I hope Brukhankov holds on, because it's just been a brave effort. He went from the front on the run. He didn't give in. He didn't sit back and think I can just move through. He did what we saw Helen Jenkins do yesterday, what we're watching Alistair Brownlee do right here today.
Well, the crowd in front of us here in the finish area beginning to get ready to welcome him home. They're on their feet. They're starting to get set with horns and hooters to make him very welcome. Alistair Brownlee is on the right side of the Serpentine now. Brukhankov is also on the northern bank. He looks like he'll hold on to second position. Alistair drifts up towards his left, shadowed by the motorcycle with the camera on board, looking for a bit of softness underfoot. Now then, the final stages of his 2011 Hyde Park adventure about to come to a close. Behind him, Alexander Brukhankov has been a picture of pain, but a model of courage so far. What a performance from him. Will he hold on for second, or will Johnny Brownlee steal his thunder one more time?
There was a long gap between Brukhankov and Johnny Brownlee as they came into the final lap. And with Alistair probably, 2.5 minutes, perhaps 3 minutes of running, that's all there is to go. I'm sure Brukhankov is going to be able to maintain that for less than a minute longer than that. And we're going to see a big performance there, but here's the man running home. You can't guarantee Olympic selection, but to get the gold medal, to get that first place on the podium coming into the finish of Hyde Park, we're going to see that. Brukhankov again in second place, knowing it's nearly got to the finish line, knowing that the pain is going to stop, the suffering is going to stop, that he's going to have huge kudos to take home to his selectors.
There's Johnny Brownlee out in third position on his own. It looks like the Brownlee brothers will again grace the podium, this time together in London. Alistair on course for the victory. We'll pick him up shortly as he makes his final stages of this Hyde Park World Championship Series triathlon. Instead of going straight on through transition this time, he'll kink right and take this little elbow up towards the finishing line. The others still doing their work behind, trying to close the gap. Gomez looks like he'll have to settle for fourth position today. $18,000 for the winner, 13,000 to second, 9.5 for third, 7,000 for fourth, and $7,000 looks like what Gomez will take home today. What a performance from the brave Russian. But for Alistair Brownlee, he can start to celebrate. A year ago, it ended in dramatic style as he ran out of steam and collapsed before the finishing line. In 2011, it's been completed with ease, and he's got time to salute, to shake hands, to high-five the crowd and enjoy the celebrations and jog home with consummate ease. Alistair Brownlee reduced to snail's pace as he enjoys this moment. Alistair Brownlee makes it a gold double for Great Britain. On Saturday morning, Helen Jenkins won the women's race. On Sunday afternoon, Alistair Brownlee crosses the line to celebrate victory in the men's competition for Great Britain.
With that, the white rose of Yorkshire there rather than the British flag who's holding up. Here's a brave man coming through, thoroughly deserves the acknowledgement there. Well done, Alexander Brukhankov, a tremendous performance, well deserved.
Alistair Brownlee has taken the victory. Alexander Brukhankov with a courageous second place. We'll wait now and see the second of the Brownlee brothers home. It'll be Johnny this time taking third. There will be two Brownlee brothers on the World Championship Series podium in Hyde Park. What a weekend for Great Britain. What a weekend for Helen Jenkins, for Alistair Brownlee, and now for Johnny, who joins him on the podium. First and third for the Brownlee boys in Hyde Park.
Brownlee 1 and 3. What a weekend it's been for Team GB here at Hyde Park.
Not forgetting Helen yesterday or earlier on. It's fantastic, absolutely amazing. What a setup for London 2012. The eyes of the world are going to be on triathlon for Great Britain, and certainly with these two brothers doing what they've done, working together and both getting on the podium, this is unheard of. Fantastic result.
Britain really has showed just how good it is in the triathlon, and we've got Ali. Come and join us. Oh no.
Okay, Johnny, come
Johnny, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I can't really speak. I'm absolutely knackered. That was a really hard race. After the third lap, I was gone. But Javier kept on pushing me in. He stayed at 5 seconds for absolute ages. And then I didn't know I'd got it until about 500 metres to go, but I'm really pleased. I'm absolutely shattered there.
Well, I'm so sorry that we're running out of time, so no time for another question, but we will do a proper interview and that will be on the website. Thank you very much to Richard for keeping us company today and giving your insight into the race. Thank you very much to our commentators. So less than a year to go till London 2012 hits this town, and almost a year to the day till the men's triathlon takes place right here in Hyde Park. And if we get results like we did this weekend, it is going to be a brilliant few days. Thank you very much for joining us. Goodbye.